The Priestess's time travel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 651 Palace Maid 4. There are a lot of people in the town today, most of them are girls. It seems that all the girls in the town have left their homes. Su Qingni grabbed an auntie who looked kind and asked, "Auntie, did something happen in the town?" The auntie saw that Su Qingni was a little girl, and her attitude became more friendly. She said, "Little girl, are you from the town? The adults from the capital came to the town to recruit palace maids in our town." Palace maids? Su Qingni blinked. There was a world where she became a guerrilla citizen. In order to make money, she carved many ancient landmark buildings of guerrilla, so she was somewhat familiar with ancient guerrilla. She knew the system of selecting palace maids in the guerrilla palace. The guerrilla palace had a great demand for palace maids, so every year it recruited girls from the people to enter the palace. The daughters of middle-class people and common people could sign up. The age of the girls who signed up was from 5 to 6 years old at the youngest and no more than 10 years old at the oldest. After entering the palace, they started as little palace maids and had to undergo a long period of training. In the future, they could be promoted to Niran, Shangzhen Niran, Shanggong, Supreme Shanggong, Tidiao Shanggong, etc. Su Qingni thought of a TV series she had watched a long time ago, De Jiang, and she couldn't help but become interested. After thanking the aunt, Su Qingni walked towards the registration point. There were many girls and their families who wanted to register in front of the registration point. It is said that the family of the selected palace maid will receive a small but not small amount of silver, so many talents want to send their daughters to be palace maids. However, it is not that you can become a palace maid just because you want to. Although it is stipulated that girls from ordinary families and middle-class families can register, the recruits still need to be selected. Those who are not good-looking will naturally be eliminated, otherwise choosing an ugly girl to enter the palace will not be an irritation to the nobles. And those who are stupid cannot be accepted. Serving the nobles is a delicate job. If a person is too stupid and can't do things well, what is the purpose of taking him into the palace? Empty the toilet? People who empty the toilet must be smart and know how to clean the toilet so that the nobles will not be fumigated by the stench. After such a round of selection, the selected palace maids are less than 1/10 of the applicants. Su Qingni watched for a long time, and when she saw the sun setting, she turned around and left and went home. The snake soup was finished, and Su Qingni made a pot of porridge with the brown rice she bought, and put a lot of wild vegetables in it. Su Qingling and Su Changyuan went home, and while drinking porridge, they talked about recruiting palace maids. This matter has spread from the small town to the nearby villages. I heard that after signing up and being selected, the court will give the family of the palace maid a large sum of money. Su Qingling said, "It's a pity that I am over the age, otherwise I would sign up." After speaking, Su Qingling looked at Su Qingni. His sister is just 8 years old, and she is just the right age. Su Qingni raised her eyelids and said, "I will sign up tomorrow." "Great." Su Qingling smiled, "Sister, you will not have to go hungry after entering the palace, and your future will be guaranteed. The family can also have more money, so Changyuan can continue to study. It's really killing two birds with one stone." Su Changyuan also agreed with this decision. It is not shameful for sisters to be maids in the palace. Some families even send their daughters to the palace to be maids in every generation, and use the family's help to make the daughters who enter the palace become high-ranking female officials, and the family can also use the power of the female official's name to bring more benefits to their family. It is 1,000 times better for a younger sister to be a maid than for an older sister to be a female branch. In addition, Su Changyuan actually wanted to continue studying and become an official in his heart. In the past, his family was poor and he could not continue studying, but his sister entered the palace and the family had money, so he could continue studying. The maids would give the family a settlement fee when they entered the palace. After entering the palace, the maids would have monthly silver money. They almost did not need money in the palace, and many maids would take the money back home. The next day, Su Qingling and Su Changyuan did not go to work, but accompanied Su Qingni to the town to sign up. Although the Su family was in decline, their ancestors were from a noble family, which made them better than other girls. In addition, Su Qingni was good-looking, So the recruiting official immediately accepted her and gave Su Qingni and Su Qingni a large sum of money. Su Qingni and Su Qingni left happily with the money. Su Qingni was taken to a room where there were already several girls. These girls did not gather together to talk or play, but sat obediently against the wall. When Su Qingni came in, the girls only took a glance and then looked away. Su Qingni also found a place to sit down, closed her eyes, and pretended to take a nap. At noon, someone brought food over, and the girls came forward to eat, and then they started talking in a low voice. However, they only asked other people's names, and did not say anything extra. Everyone was flustered and had no interest in talking. When it was almost evening, two girls came in. The youngest girl was only about 5 or 6 years old, and she was crying because she was reluctant to leave her family. Another girl, who was about 8 or 9 years old, should be the little girl's sister, comforted the little girl in a low voice. The little girl was not comforted, and cried, "I miss my father and mother, I want to go home." This sentence aroused the thoughts of all the girls in the room, and their eyes became red, and they began to cry quietly. Su Qingni was the only one in the room who did not cry. The crying sound spread out of the room, and soon, footsteps were heard outside, and then someone opened the door forcefully and shouted loudly, "Why are you crying? Whoever cries again will not be allowed to eat tonight." All the girls were frightened, and even the youngest girl was covered with her mouth by her sister's hand, so that she could not make a sound. The one who scolded everyone was a woman in a green dress, about 27 or 28 years old, and looked very fierce. The woman following behind her was also wearing a dress of the same color, about the same age as her, not as pretty as the woman in front, but with a kind expression, and looked like a person with a good temper. At this time, the woman behind spoke up, "Madam Park is doing this for your own good. There must be no crying in the palace. If the noble sees you crying and it affects your mood, you will be punished." Although the girls were young, except for the youngest one, they were sensible and understood what the woman meant. They were all frightened and quickly raised their hands to wipe their tears with their sleeves. The two women who came in were satisfied. Madam Park snorted coldly and said, "I'll let you off today. If you make the same mistake again next time, each of you will be punished 10 times on the palm of your hand." The girls murmured in agreement and were very well behaved. Madam Park then introduced herself, "My name is Park Xinmei, Madam Shangshan, and I will teach you the etiquette in the palace." Chapter 652, Palace Maid 5. The other woman is called Jiang Ensun, also Shangshan Niran. The two of them are responsible for teaching these girls basic etiquette before entering the palace, so that they will not break taboos after entering the palace and lose their lives. Park Xinmei has a bad temper, but a good heart. It's just that she is too strict with the children, which makes the children afraid of Park Xinmei, and they are closer to Jiang Ensun, who has a kind and gentle attitude. Su Qingni can see that Park Xinmei is sincere to these children, while Jiang Ensun is kind to the children on the surface but not very sincere. While others surrounded Jiang Ensun, Su Qingni followed Park Xinmei. Park Xinmei felt strange. Other girls were afraid of her, but this girl was not afraid of her? Park Xinmei asked this question. Su Qingni shook her head, "I know you are doing this for our own good. The palace is not like home. If we make a mistake, our family will forgive us. Once we enter the palace, if we make a mistake, we will be punished. Sometimes, not paying attention can cost us our lives. Your strictness is all for us to remember the rules and make us make fewer mistakes. You are really doing this for our own good." Park Xinmei was surprised and moved. She didn't expect that her thoughts were seen through by a little girl. "You are a smart child." Park Xinmei sighed, "Maybe you can go further in the palace and become a high-ranking female official." Unlike her, because of her bad temper, she can only stop at being a Shangshan wife in this life. Park Xinmei rubbed Su Qingni's head and said, "Although my position is not high, I still have some connections in the palace. If you need help in the future, you can come to me." "Thank you." Su Qingni hurriedly thanked her. It's good to have a connection before entering the palace. A few days later, Su Qingni and other girls were sent to the palace. There were more than 100 young maids who entered the palace this time. They were assigned to different departments, and then all departments carried out unified learning and training. Su Qingni was assigned to the clothing-making department and followed a Shangong named Kuihea. Every child who entered the palace would be disciplined by an inner woman or a Shangong, who would serve as a teacher and mother, and everyone would live in the same room. In this way, the relationship between the two people was a natural alliance and a very close relationship. Su Qingni was educated by Shanggong because she was a descendant of the gentry. Other girls from ordinary families were educated by inner women. Shanggong Kuihea was a person who didn't like to talk much, but her skills as a female worker were very high. Su Qingni followed her and could learn a lot as long as she was attentive. Although Su Qingni didn't need to learn at all, her skills as a female worker were very high. She usually had to hide her shortcomings. Although Kuihea was cold, she was responsible for her work and was very attentive to Su Qingni's teaching. After a while, Su Qingni learned that Kuihea and Park Xingmei were from the same hometown, and Park Xingmei asked Kuihea to teach her. The little palace maids study very hard every day. In addition to learning the skills of their department, they also have to learn palace etiquette, and their schedule is full. There will be exams every month, and those who do well will be rewarded. If you get the first place, you can also get the benefit of a day off from the palace. The town where the Su family is located is more than half a day's journey from the capital, and one day is not enough for a round trip. Su Qingni naturally did not compete for the quota to leave the palace, and she did not even strive for rewards. She was in the middle of the class in every exam. Although she tried her best to hide her shortcomings, Kuihea still saw that Su Qingni's level was better than other girls. For Su Qingni's only ranking in the middle of the class in every exam, Kuihea did not feel disappointed with the little palace maids she taught like other teachers, but said to Su Qingni lightly, "Well done. The gun hits the bird that sticks out." This is one of the truths Kuihea has understood in the palace over the years. If she hadn't been so outstanding and competed with those little palace maids with backgrounds, she wouldn't have been framed and almost lost her life. Although she finally got a blessing in disguise. Although Su Qingni did not take a vacation or go home, she asked someone to help send her monthly salary back home. The monthly salary of a young palace maid was not much, and Su Qingni saved it for several months before sending it back home. The person came back with a letter from Su Changyuan. With the money that Su Qingni received when she entered the palace, Su Changyuan had the money to study and had returned to the academy to continue his studies. Su Qingli still worked to earn money. The money he earned was not much, but the family's expenses were not large. Although life was tight, he managed to get by and would not be hungry like before. At least, he could eat 5 points full every day. Su Qingni's monthly salary was pitifully small compared to other people in the palace, but it was much more than Su Qingli's. The money she sent home solved many problems for the Su family. Su Changyuan had money to buy pens and ink, so he would not be unable to buy pens and ink and be looked down upon by his classmates. The remaining money was just enough to pay for the official examination. Passing the official examination did not mean that you could become an official, but your name was also recorded by the government, giving you one more chance to become an official than those who did not pass. Su Qingni didn't think Su Changyuan could pass the civil service exam. Not only was he young, he hadn't studied for a few years, and he had also taken a break from school for a while. It would be strange if he could pass the civil service exam. But Su Changyuan wanted to take the exam, and Su Qingni couldn't stop him. She only encouraged Su Changyuan in her next letter and cheered her up. Winter is gone and spring is here, and everything is revived. The palace has also become full of vitality. Although the little palace maids who have been in the palace for more than half a year are familiar with the palace rules and strictly abide by them, they are still energetic. They walk happily in the spring sunshine like larks. The monthly exam has just passed, and the little palace maid who won the first place went out of the palace to visit her family. Generally, the palace maids who won the first place are those whose elders serve in the palace. They have learned relevant knowledge since they were very young, and they know more than the little palace maids of ordinary families. It is inevitable that they will win the first place. And the families of these little palace maids are naturally local families living in the capital, and their families have served the royal family for generations. Although other little palace maids cannot leave the palace, they also have a day of rest, and can freely use their time to do what they want. Many little palace maids went to play in the garden, which was near the residence of the palace people. It was far away from the residence of the nobles. The nobles would not come here, and the little palace maids played very freely in the garden. Most of the flowers in the garden were in bloom. Although they were not precious flowers, they were still very beautiful with their colorful colors. Little girls like beautiful flowers. Su Qingni was driven out of the house by Kuihea, who asked her to go to the garden to get some fresh air and play with other children, instead of being like a little old woman all day long. Su Qingni yawned in boredom and decided to find a secret place to take a nap. Chapter 653 Palace Maid VI. I found a hidden place, but it was already occupied by someone. It was a little girl in a pink dress, with beautiful features and very delicate. But she looked unfamiliar. She was not a maid in the Sissy room, but was sitting there doing needlework. The girl found Su Qingni, raised her head, frowned and said, "This place is exclusively for me. Go away and don't disturb me." It was not arrogant, but it was an attitude of a superior to an inferior, which made Su Qingni frown. But Su Qingni was too lazy to cause trouble, so she turned around and left. After taking 2 steps, she was grabbed by another girl she didn't know. "Have you been taught a lesson by Hong Zedong?" The girl blinked her big eyes, looking very gossipy. "You said the person inside is Hong Zedong?" Su Qingni asked. She had heard of Hong Zedong's name. Hong Zedong was born in the Hong family, which specialized in serving the palace. The status of the Hong family was equivalent to that of the imperial household department in the Qing dynasty. The men in the family were officials, and most of the affairs they managed were for the service of the palace. The women in each generation entered the palace as maids, and then were promoted to female officials. The Hong family even had a supreme minister, and the women who entered the palace in each generation aimed to become the supreme Shangong. Hong Zedong's aunt was only in her 20s and not yet 30, but she was already a Shangong of the 6th rank. It was said that she would be promoted to Shangong of the 5th rank in the second half of the year. With such an aunt to protect her, Hong Zedong's future in the palace was beyond doubt, and it must be smoother than that of other maids. It was said that Hong Zedong was very arrogant and would never pay attention to other maids. Now it was true. "Yes." The girl nodded. "Did you see what Hong Zedong was doing when you went over there just now?" Su Qingni shook her head. She saw what Hong Zedong was doing but would not say it. The girl in front of her should not get along with Hong Zedong, and she didn't want to get involved in the intrigues of these girls. The girl in front of her should not be an ordinary palace maid. She might be the daughter of some noble family. Su Qingni pulled back her hand and said, "If you want to know, you can go and see for yourself." After that, she left without caring about the girl's reaction. After walking a distance, Su Qingni looked back and found that the girl who had just left was really walking towards where Hong Zedong was. She shook her head and left the garden directly. Kuihea didn't let her go back to the room, so Su Qingni just chose a path and walked down it. Not long after walking, she came to a building. Su Qingni looked up and recognized it. It was the kitchen. There were not many people in the kitchen at the moment. It had been a while since the meal. The people in charge of the meals had finished their work and had rested. Only a few people who watched the fire were left in the kitchen. Su Qingni was not interested in the things in the kitchen, and she didn't like the court meals of Korea very much. She preferred the food of China. Su Qingni walked around the kitchen and was about to leave. Suddenly, a group of soldiers ran towards this side and quickly surrounded the kitchen. A soldier saw Su Qingni and immediately stopped her, asking her if she was the one who burned the kitchen. Su Qingni shook her head. It was a joke. It was obvious that the kitchen was in trouble, and she had to quickly distance herself from it. Su Qingni immediately revealed her identity and said that she was just passing by the kitchen. The soldier asked Su Qingni a few more questions and felt that she was not suspicious, so he let her go. When Su Qingni left, she saw that several palace maids in the kitchen were all tied up and taken away by the soldiers. After returning to her room, Su Qingni sat for a while, and Kuihea came back. Kuihea has lived in the palace for nearly 30 years and has more connections in the palace than Park Zinmei. She soon heard that Su Qingni was almost caught. After returning to the room, Kuihea gave Su Qingni a lesson. Even though Su Qingni said that she just happened to pass by the kitchen and was stopped by the soldier for questioning, Kuihea still did not give Su Qingni a good face. After giving her a lesson, he put Su Qingni in solitary confinement. Except for going to the academy every day, you have to go back to your room for the rest of the time and are not allowed to go out. After this incident, Kuihea also thought it through. If Su Qingni likes to stay in the room, she can stay in the room, so that she won't be involved in some disaster at any time. You know, a little maid in the Sizhan room was involved in this matter just by passing a message to someone in the kitchen. The little maid was beaten with 20 boards and expelled from the palace. After these 20 boards, the little maid lost most of her life. I don't know how many days she can live after leaving the palace. This time the matter involved a lot. Although Su Qingni was imprisoned by Kuihea, she was still able to hear some news when she went to school. After sorting out the news, Su Qingni had a rough idea of the whole thing. Niangniang is dead. Niangniang is the king's most beloved youngest son. He is only 14 years old this year. He caught a cold some time ago and has been recuperating. Seeing that the disease was gradually getting better, he suddenly died after eating the meal served by the kitchen today. The king was extremely angry and arrested all the people who burned the kitchen. He ordered people to torture and interrogate them to find the murderer. Almost all the people who burned the kitchen were punished, and only a few people of status were not tortured. The murderer was finally caught, and a string of accomplices and spies were brought out. Not only the people who burned the kitchen, but also people from other palaces were involved. The number of people who burned the kitchen suddenly decreased by a quarter. It is said that some of them were too busy to handle it, and even the little palace maids had to help. In this incident, the Hong family fell. Hong Zedong's father and grandfather were sentenced to death, and her aunt and she were sentenced to exile. They would leave for Jeju Island in a few days. This news made many little palace maids feel sad. They were afraid that one day they would end up like Hong Zedong. However, there were also little palace maids who felt that Hong Zedong deserved it. Who told her family to do something wrong. These little palace maids couldn't stand Hong Zedong's arrogant attitude. On the day Hong Zedong and her aunt left, Su Qingni saw them off. Well, actually it was Kuihea who went to see Aunt Hong off, and Su Qingni was Kuihea's follower. It was unexpected that Kuihea, who is always indifferent to others, was actually a good friend of Aunt Hong. Later, Su Qingni learned that when Kuihea was still young, he was very talented and almost attracted a disaster of death. It was Aunt Hong who helped Kuihea, which saved Kuihea from danger and turned a disaster into a blessing. Over the years, although Kuihea and Aunt Hong did not seem to be close on the surface, they actually took care of each other secretly without letting others know. Take care. Kuihea handed a cloth bag to Aunt Hong. Aunt Hong said nothing, everything was implied. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 654 Palace Maid 7. The adults looked at each other in silence, but the children had something to say. Hong Zedong, who had only met Su Qingni once, walked up to Su Qingni and said, "Can I ask you for a favor?" Su Qingni was silent. Although the little girl was quite pitiful, she couldn't just agree to some things. Who knew if she would be implicated? The little girl said, "Don't worry, I won't let you do anything dangerous or break the palace rules." Facing the little girl's pleading eyes, Su Qingni nodded slowly. The little girl immediately took out an exquisite purse from her arms and handed it to Su Qingni. "Please help me give this purse to Lord Li Yunhao, the right washer of the inner guard." Su Qingni recognized it. This purse was the one she had seen the little girl make in the garden before. It was made by the little girl herself. Give it to the right washer? Could this person be the one the little girl likes? Isn't this too precocious? Su Qingni nodded and took the purse. Hong Zedong followed her and left. The little girl looked back in the direction of the palace after walking a few steps, reluctant to leave. Kuihea sighed and said to Su Qingni, "Let's go back." After that, he turned around and left. Su Qingni hurriedly followed Kuihea. Back in the palace, life returned to its previous peace. The kitchen department transferred some palace maids from other places and resumed normal work. Because of this big purge, many young palace maids in the kitchen department turned a disaster into a blessing and were directly promoted to concubines. Their status and salary were improved, which aroused the envy of the young palace maids in other departments. If they want to be promoted to concubines, they must also take an assessment, and only after passing the assessment can they become concubines. After Su Qingni finished her homework and work for the day, she saw that it was still early, so she went to find the Lord Li Yunhao to complete Hong Zedong's request. Su Qingni had asked others about Li Yunhao before, but she didn't expect that Lord Li was also a celebrity, the object of admiration of all the young palace maids and even the concubines. Li Yunhao was born in a noble family. His father and brother were both officials in the court, but they were civil officials. Li Yunhao liked to practice martial arts since he was a child. He liked to learn martial arts even more after studying literature, so he was both civil and military. Later, he simply joined the inner guards and took the path of a military officer. Li Yunhao is not very old. He is only 15 years old now. He is a handsome young man. He is young and promising. Many noble ladies in the capital admire him and want to become Li Yunheo's wife. The little palace maids in the palace are the same as the ladies. They have an advantage over the ladies in that they can often see Li Yunheo. Li Yunheo is an inner guard and stays in the palace most of the time. The palace maids have more opportunities to see him. The ladies of the noble families are locked up in the official house all day long. They don't even have many opportunities to go out, let alone see Li Yunheo. The palace maids are proud of this, and they secretly want to capture Li Yunheo, the golden son-in-law, as soon as they marry Li Yunheo, and there will be no other noble ladies. Even if they can't become Li Yunheo's wife, but become his concubine, they are very satisfied. When Su Qingni went to find Li Yunheo, she happened to see Li Yunheo being approached by two groups of people. The two groups quarreled because of Li Yunheo. One of the girls in one of the groups was someone Su Qingni had seen before. She was the gossipy girl who had grabbed her in the garden to ask what Hong Zedong was doing. Now the girl has changed her clothes and it seems that she has been promoted to a wife. There is another girl dressed as a wife next to her, who really pulled her sleeve and asked her not to quarrel with the other party. The person who quarreled with her was still dressed as a little palace maid, so I don't think she was the one who burned the kitchen. There are 3 people in this group. Judging from their momentum, they don't look like ordinary palace maids. They should also be from official families. I think only palace maids from official families who feel confident and have background will get close to Li Yunheo. Ordinary palace maids don't have the confidence to get close to Li Yunheo, so they can only choose to watch from a distance. Su Qingni hid aside and listened to the girls' quarrel. It was nothing more than because both parties went to give Li Yunheo a purse, but they bumped into each other. Li Yunheo didn't take anyone's purse. They were unhappy, so they blamed each other and quarreled. Su Qingni looked at the purse in her hand and decided not to give it to Li Yunheo in person. Li Yunheo was annoyed by the girls' quarrel. He frowned and turned away. But before he left, Su Qingni found that he looked at the wife next to the gossiping girl several times. The wife seemed to have sensed something and turned to look at Li Yunheo. The eyes of the two met. Su Qingni felt that love at first sight should be like this. The other girls can take a break. The boy they admired has a girl he likes. Su Qingni sighed for Hong Zedong again. The little girl was exiled but still couldn't forget Li Yunheo, but Li Yunheo liked another girl. Jin Minsun, don't think that just because your family has brought down the Hong family, you can be the king of the palace. Others are afraid of your Jin family, but we, the Zhang family, are not afraid of your family. The gossip girl shouted, my uncle said that the Huang family was only falsely accused, and it was all your Jin family's tricks. Your tricks may work once, but don't think they can work a second time. Wait, a family like yours that frame others will suffer the consequences one day. After saying that, the gossip girl pulled her friends away. One of the remaining 3 girls had a distorted face and gritted her teeth at the back of the gossip girl. Zhang Yuji, you wait, I will kill you one day like I killed Hong Zedong. Su Qingni had seen a gossip about several women chasing one man, and she left quietly while Jin Minsun and the other 2 were not paying attention. At night, Su Qingni saw Kuihea fall asleep, and pressed her sleeping point to make her sleep more sweetly. Su Qingni usually does this, so that she can practice without worry after Kuihea falls asleep. There are people around her during the day, which does not give her time to practice. Kuihea sleeps well at night, so she is energetic during the day, and her body also gets better. She looks much younger, not like a person in her 30s at all. Tonight, Su Qingni did not practice. She walked out of the room quietly and left the maid's residence. She avoided the night patrol guards and sentries along the way and came to the residence of the palace guards. Li Yunheo, as a 6th-rank official, has a separate restroom in the palace and lives in the palace for a few days every month. Today, Li Yunheo was on night duty and stayed in the palace. When Su Qingni arrived, Li Yunheo had just returned from patrol, took off his coat and lay on the bed. Li Yunheo was not asleep. He lay flat on the tatami, his eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling above his head, wondering what he was thinking. Chapter 655, Palace Maid 8. After thinking for a while, Li Yunheo took out an object from his arms, and looked at and stroked it in the dim moonlight coming in through the window. Su Qingni looked at it carefully, and it was a purse again. Do girls here only give purses to boys? Don't they give other things? I wonder who gave this purse? Could it be the friend of the gossip girl? Did the gossip girl know that her friend was hooking up with her dream lover behind her back? Su Qingni felt that it was full of dog blood. Seeing that Li Yanhao had not slept, Su Qingni was impatient and found a small stone, which she flicked out and hit Li Yanhao's sleeping point. When Li Yanhao fell asleep, Su Qingni entered his room. Su Qingni picked up the purse in Li Yanhao's hand and took a look. It was not as delicate as the one made by Hong Zedong. It could be said to be very rough, and the material was not good. The woman should not be the daughter of an official or aristocratic family. I think the conditions of her family are not very good. Putting the purse back into Li Yanhao's hands, Su Qingni took out the purse made by Hong Zedong and stuffed it directly into the lapel of Li Yanhao's chest. As for how Li Yanhao would react when he found a purse on his chest the next day, Su Qingni didn't care. As for whether Li Yanhao would throw away or burn the purse that suddenly appeared, Su Qingni didn't care either. Anyway, she had completed the task that Hong Zedong asked her to do, and the purse had been given to Li Yanhao. How Li Yanhao would deal with the purse was not something she could control. After returning to her room smoothly, Su Qingni practiced for a while before lying down to rest. When she woke up the next day, Su Qingni washed herself first, and then brought clean water to Kuihea for washing. After Kuihea finished taking care of herself, she took Su Qingni out for breakfast. Breakfast was prepared by the people in the kitchen. The palace maids had their own canteen for eating. The person in charge of the canteen was sent by the kitchen, and they were rotated every month. Today is the first day of April. Su Qingni saw the people who came to the canteen on duty this month. The leader was the gossipy girl Zhang Yuji and her good friend. Zhang Yuji was a girl who loved gossip and talking. She soon chatted with several girls of the same personality in the Sizifang. A group of girls chattered loudly, and people around could hear their chats. Fortunately, they were only talking about some trivial matters, not involving the affairs of nobles and some taboos in the palace. Su Qingni's ears were sharper than others. Even though she was a little far away, she still heard the conversation of these girls. Su Qingni knew that Zhang Yuji's good friend was called Zhang Taiying. Her background was very similar to her original body. Her family was originally a noble family, but her family was in decline. The living conditions of the family fell to the level of ordinary civilians, so Zhang Taiying could not live the same life as the young ladies. However, the Zhang family was still much better than the Su family. At least the Zhang family would not fall to the point of not being able to afford food. Their family also rented out a few acres of land, and the food and silver collected from the rent every year could feed the whole family for a year. Zhang Taiying has a good personality and can get along well with everyone. She works hard and works hard. She can get into the top 3 in every monthly exam, and sometimes she can get the first place and get the opportunity to go out of the palace to see her family. Zhang Taiying is soft on the outside and strong on the inside. She will stick to the right things she thinks, and the facts will always prove that she is right. Zhang Taiying is very smart and very talented in cooking. This setting looks like the setting of the heroine in a novel. In a month, Zhang Yuji became familiar with several girls in Sizhanfang, and often pulled Zhang Taiying to play with those girls. When they came, they would bring some food they made themselves, and several girls used discarded cloth to make some handkerchief, purses and shoes and other small items for the two. Su Qingni occasionally reported that she was pulled by them to talk and share food, and she also got to know Zhang Yuji and Zhang Taiying. Zhang Taiying is very popular. Even Su Qingni couldn't help but praise her attitude towards people. Zhang Taiying has the tactfulness of Bao Jiji and the sincerity of Lin Daiyu. She feels that she can live better than Bao Jiji and Lin Daiyu and realize Bao Jiji's ambition. Su Qingni took a piece of cloth back to the room. This was her homework. She had to make a nice dress with the cloth. If it was done well, the Shanggong who was in charge of the Sizhan room would recommend the dress to the noble. The other palace maids in the Sizhan room were very nervous about this homework and wanted to show their faces in front of the noble. Su Qingni pushed open the door and found that Kuihea had returned to the room and was sitting on the tatami in a daze. This has never happened before. Even when Antong was exiled, Kui Shangshu didn't stay in such a daze. What happened to her? Su Qingni slowed down her steps and didn't disturb Kuihea. She walked to the corner of the room, took out the basket of needles and thread, and started to work. The room was very quiet, so quiet that you could even hear the sound of a fly flapping its wings. After an unknown amount of time, Kuihea spoke up, "Qingni, I'm leaving the palace." "What?" Su Qingni looked up in surprise. "I'm getting married," Kuihea said. Su Qingni's eyes widened even more. Palace maids can leave the palace and marry when they reach a certain age? But some palace maids don't want to leave the palace and marry, so they stay in the palace. Kuihea is such a palace maid. She was already past the age limit for leaving the palace to marry, so why did she suddenly want to leave the palace to marry? Su Qingni stared at Kuihea in confusion. Kuihea might want to find someone to talk to, and she knew that Su Qingni was not the type to talk nonsense, so Kuihea spoke quickly. "He is my childhood sweetheart. I thought he died in that accident, and I wanted to help him keep his chastity, so I did not leave the palace. I chose to stay in the palace. I thought I would live in the palace all my life." He came back with his wife and his children. He said he was sorry for me, and he wanted to take me as his co-wife. "Did you agree?" Su Qingni asked. Kuihea did not answer but asked, "Do you think I should agree?" Su Qingni shook her head. "If I were you, I would never agree. I don't want to be regarded as a destroyer who broke into their family by his wife and children. Since that man already belongs to another woman, why should I keep him? Kui Shanggong, I always think you are excellent, even better than men. Since you are now a Shanggong of the 6th rank, and will go further in the future, why do you give up your future for a man?" Kuihea smiled. "You are still a child, you don't understand. Women, getting married and having children of your own is the best destination." Chapter 656, Palace Maid 9. Women, getting married and having children of your own is the best destiny. Being a court lady may seem glamorous, but in fact, there are almost no court ladies who can live to retire and enjoy their old age. Many court ladies died in the turbulent palace life. Kuihea sighed. "You are still a child, and we adults have helped you to block many dangers. When you become a wife, you will have to face all kinds of things in the palace alone. At that time, you will know that being able to leave the palace safely and get married is actually a very happy thing." She would never get married. However, Su Qingni also understood that for women in this era, getting married is the best destiny. "Do you really want to marry that person? Your childhood sweetheart?" Su Qingni asked. Kuihea smiled, somewhat bitter but somewhat relieved. "No, not her. Just as you said, he already has a wife and children. If I marry him, wouldn't it be awkward? I'd be inferior to his wife. I want to marry someone else." Su Qingni. Kuihea, it's a military attaché. His wife died 2 years ago, leaving behind only a daughter. He and I are old acquaintances. He knows my past and sympathizes with me. He has been taking care of me secretly all these years. This time, when he knew that my childhood sweetheart was going to get married, he panicked, confessed to me, and said he wanted to marry me. "So you agreed to this person?" Su Qingni breathed a sigh of relief. It can be heard that Kuihea has no love for this military attaché but still has a good impression of him. But this military attaché likes Kuihea very much? Kuihea will definitely be happier marrying the military attaché than marrying her childhood sweetheart. "I haven't agreed yet." Kuihea smiled. "I just figured it out and decided to marry him." "That's great." Su Qingni also smiled. "I think this person will treat you very well." Kuihea nodded. "He has always been very good to me." "Then congratulations." Su Qingni smiled and congratulated. Kuihea said, "I am going to leave the palace and get married. What will you do?" "Don't worry about me." Su Qingni said hurriedly, "In 2 years, I will be able to complete my studies and take the imperial examination. In these 2 years, I can take care of myself. And you should rest assured that my personality will not cause trouble." Kuihea nodded. "You really won't cause trouble. So, you can get married without worry. I hope you will be happy." Su Qingni said. "Thank you." Kuihea walked to Su Qingni's side and stretched out his arms to hug Su Qingni. The two lived under the same roof for 5 years. Although they usually got along indifferently, they still had feelings for each other. In Kuihea's heart, Su Qingni was like her daughter. Su Qingni patted Kuihea on the back and whispered, "It's better for you to leave the palace, lest the Jin family secretly target you." Kuihea was shocked and asked, "How do you know?" Su Qingni said, "Watch and listen more, and you can infer a lot of things. You are good friends with Hong Zedong's aunt. You were able to become a 6th-rank palace lady with the help of the Hong family. The Jin family and the Hong family are hostile. The Hong family was dealt with by the Jin family this time, and they certainly don't want a Hong family to turn over. Naturally, they will find ways to eradicate the connections of the Hong family. Therefore, you are not safe in the palace. It is better to leave the palace and get married." Kuihea was surprised and opened her mouth for a long time before closing it. "You are smarter and more successful than I thought. I feel relieved with you like this." A few days later, the news that Kuihea was going to leave the palace to get married spread, and everyone congratulated Kuihea. The people in the Sizhanfang raised money and asked the kitchen staff to prepare a banquet as Kuihea's farewell wine. Zhang Yuji and Zhang Taiyang also attended the banquet, and they were the chefs of the banquet. Kuihea was toasted by everyone in turn, and finally got completely drunk. Su Qingni moved Kuihea back to their room, and Kuihea was drunk until the evening of the next day. After waking up, Kuihea left the palace with a small package, which contained the money Kuihea had accumulated in the palace over the years. Su Qingni sent Kuihea out of the palace gate. Outside the palace gate, a tall man with a big beard was waiting for Kuihea. Seeing Kuihea coming out, the man hurried forward. Su Qingni saw that the man looked at Kuihea with light in his eyes, and she felt relieved. She believed that this man would treat Kuihea well. Back in the room, Su Qingni fell on the tatami and rolled several times. From now on, this house is hers alone, and she can do whatever she wants. After lying in the room for a while, Su Qingni did not go out for dinner. When the moon was at its zenith, Su Qingni lazily got up and blended her figure into the moonlight. She was hungry, so she went to find something to eat. There must be no food in the kitchen. The people there kept a close eye on the food and ingredients. After the fire in the kitchen was turned off, the ingredients and food would be packed up and locked up. Su Qingni didn't want to steal food from the kitchen. If there were less things there, the maids in the kitchen would be punished. If she wanted to eat, she could go to the palaces of the nobles. The food in the palaces of the nobles was not only varied but also delicious. If 1 or 2 items were missing, it wouldn't be too noticeable. As Su Qingni was walking, she suddenly heard a man and a woman talking in a low voice in front of her. Although they were a little far away, Su Qingni's keen 5 senses allowed her to hear the conversation between the two people clearly, and she could tell who they were from their voices. The man was Li Yanhao, the dream lover of the palace maids, and the woman was Zhang Taiyang, who was suspected to be the heroine of the novel. I've asked my elder brother to write a letter of recommendation. Take it. Thank you, and thank you, elder brother. No, you're welcome. I'm happy to help you and your brother. I just hope your brother can study hard and live up to my elder brother's recommendation. Don't worry, my brother loves to study. His grades are very good. His teacher said that there is no one who can teach him anymore. Our family doesn't have any connections, otherwise your brother would have been able to study at Sungkai Ungwan. Your brother must be as good as you. You are the best. The two lowered their voices a lot, talking about some love words between men and women. Su Qingni didn't listen anymore, walked around them, and entered the residence of a palace concubine. This was the residence of a 4th-rank shuiyin, a favorite concubine of the king, so the decoration inside was quite magnificent, with no shortage of snacks and fruits. Su Qingni didn't take much, just 2 snacks and a piece of fruit and left. While eating these things, she wandered around the palace. The palace here is completely incomparable to the Forbidden City. It didn't take Su Qingni long to tour the entire palace. She also took a look at the king of this country. Tisk tisk, he doesn't look that good. Chapter 657 Palace Maid 10. After leaving the king's bedroom, Su Qingni went back to her room to sleep. Passing by a palace, her heart suddenly moved, as if something attracted her. Su Qingni followed her feeling and walked into the palace. There was more than one owner living in this palace. It should be the residence of the king's sons who were not very old. Su Qingni searched room by room and saw several princes. The oldest of the young princes was only 16 or 17 years old, and the youngest was only 11 or 12 years old. They were all very handsome, much more handsome than their biological fathers. When she walked to the last room, Su Qingni's heart beat faster. Looking in from the window, there was a boy of 14 or 15 years old, who looked better than his other brothers. He had a graceful temperament, as if he was a banished immortal. Su Qingni recognized this person at once. No, not recognizing this person, but recognizing this person's soul. Before crossing over, she was still thinking whether she would meet Dong Huang Taiyai, but she didn't expect to meet him after crossing over to a world. What good luck. Su Qingni smiled, but then put it away. What if I meet him? In the small world, Dong Huang Taiyai only sent part of his soul in and sealed his memory. Without the ability to cheat, he would definitely not recognize her. And the identities of the two people in this world are very different. It is impossible for this prince to marry a little palace maid like her. And it is impossible for her to be a concubine, let alone to seduce the little prince. Otherwise, When she meets Dong Huangtai, how can she face Dong Huangtai? Although she likes Dong Huangtai, she has always been friends with Dong Huangtai. She doesn't know if Dong Huangtai likes her too. If she does this, how will Dong Huangtai look at her? Will he still be friends with her in the future? Su Qingni sighed at the people in the room for a long time, and resolutely turned away. 2 years passed in a flash, and Su Qingni passed the exam and became a concubine. Qingni, are you ready for Jin Niangniang's clothes? Li Shangong, who manages the Sizzy room, walked to Su Qingni and asked her. It's done. Su Qingni replied. Jin Niangniang is the prince who was reincarnated by Dong Huangtai. A year ago, when the Sizifang was making clothes for the princes and princesses, Su Qingni embroidered a 3-legged golden crow pattern on the clothes she made for Jin Niangniang. Jin Niangniang really liked it. After asking who embroidered the pattern, he ordered that his clothes would be made by Su Qingni in the future. The people in the Sizifang were surprised and a little jealous of Su Qingni. However, Su Qingni usually behaved very honestly, not outstanding or picky, so everyone just thought she was lucky, and only said a few sour words, and did not embarrass Su Qingni. Then you send the clothes over. Li Shangong ordered. Su Qingni responded, took out a piece of cloth to wrap the newly made clothes, and went to Jin Niangniang's residence. Li Shangong saw that Su Qingni did not dress up because she was going to meet the prince, and nodded with satisfaction. When many palace maids heard that they were going to meet male nobles, they all dressed themselves up in the hope that the nobles would like them. They did not even complete their own serious work. Li Shangong dislikes such palace maids the most. It should be that the female officials in charge of each department do not like such subordinates. Li Shangong thinks that Su Qingni has a good personality and good craftsmanship, and she is willing to cultivate Su Qingni. Su Qingni knew Li Shangong's good intentions and accepted it calmly. She chose to stay in the palace for the rest of her life, so naturally she still had to have some status. When she came to Jin Niangniang's residence, Su Qingni did not see Jin Niangniang. She just handed the clothes to Jin Niangniang's personal servants and left. Although she was responsible for making Jin Niangniang's clothes, Su Qingni rarely saw Jin Niangniang. Except for the time when she embroidered the 3-legged golden crow, Jin Niangniang summoned Su Qingni, and later met him once by chance. Su Qingni never saw Jin Niangniang again, and she didn't even go to peek at him at night. Su Qingni understood that Dong Huangtai was different from herself. She traveled through many worlds to find the fragments of the true spirit of the ancestor witch and to expand the underworld. Her purpose was very clear, and she could leave the world after she finished her work. Although Dong Huangtai also wanted to merge his own true spirit fragments, it can be seen from the fact that he sealed his memory that Dong Huangtai's move was very meaningful. Su Qingni thought of a little bit, maybe Dong Huangtai used this to experience the calamities of the mortal world, and after hundreds of lives, he used the 7 emotions and 6 desires of mortals to condense his own soul. That's why he sealed his memory and lived an ordinary life one after another. Of course, the above is purely Su Qingni's guess. Su Qingni can't be sure whether it is true or not. What she can be sure of is that the reincarnated Jin Niangniang is not the same as herself now. Jin Niangniang is the son of the king and has a noble status. He will marry a noble lady in the future, not a palace maid. She will not be a mistress for Jin Niangniang, let alone watch Jin Niangniang being intimate with other women. In this case, it is better not to have hope at the beginning. The intersection between her and Jin Niangniang is limited to making clothes. When Jin Niangniang is older and has his own mansion outside the palace, there will be no intersection in making clothes. After delivering the clothes, Su Qingni turned around and left without any reluctance or lingering. The person serving Jin Niangniang entered the room with the clothes. In the room, Jin Niangniang was writing calligraphy. The person serving did not disturb Jin Niangniang, but knelt aside and placed the clothes in front of him. Jin Niangniang kept writing. After an unknown amount of time, Jin Niangniang put down his pen, sighed softly, and said to the person serving him, "Sanfu, change my clothes for me." Sanfu hurriedly picked up the clothes in front of him and unfolded them, and walked to Jin Niangniang. Jin Niangniang took off his clothes and put on new clothes. "It fits me very well," Jin Niangniang said. "The clothes she made are the most suitable for me." After saying that, Jin Niangniang sighed. "It's a pity that I will never be able to wear the clothes she made again in the future." He was about to leave the palace to build his own mansion. With his own mansion and his own servants and embroiderers, he would never wear the clothes made by the palace ladies again. His intersection with her was cut off. When he saw the patterns she embroidered, He immediately liked them and made her his exclusive maid. Then, he saw her, and he fell in love with her at first sight. There was a voice in his heart shouting, "This is the person, this is the person." Unfortunately, with his status, he could not marry a palace maid as his wife. Although he did not ask her anything, he could understand her intentions, and she would never be his concubine. So, he stopped seeing her, not wanting to let his feelings for her deepen. However, even if he did not see her, this feeling was not something he could control. Chapter 658 Palace Maid 11. When Su Qingni returned to the Sizzy room, she saw that everyone was talking about it. A girl who could talk to Su Qingni pulled Su Qingni aside and whispered, "Qingni, do you know? Zhang Yuji has become a special Shuangong." Su Qingni couldn't help but be surprised. Zhang Yuji? She? How is it possible? The special Shuangong is also called Shenjin Shuangong. It is a position given to palace maids after being favored by the emperor. The position is not high, not as high as Kui Hesheng's original 6th rank Shuangong. But because she is the king's woman, she is different from ordinary female officials. Even if the female officials have higher positions than her, they have to salute her and give way to Shenjin Shuangong. However, Zhang Yuji only has Li Yanhao in her heart. How can she become the emperor's woman? How is it impossible? Said the girl Kui Mingxi. I can't believe that Zhang Yuji is so scheming that she actually ran to the side of the road where the king passed by and cried. The king saw her and favored her. Su Qingni asked, "Then do you know why Zhang Yuji cried?" Kui Mingxi said, "I heard that she had a conflict with her good sister Zhang Taiying." Su Qingni understood something. It seemed that Zhang Yuji finally found out that her good sister was with a man she admired. As expected, things turned out to be just as Su Qingni expected. Not long after, the news of Zhang Taiying and Li Yanhao being together spread among the palace maids. It is said that the source came from the special court lady Zhang Yuji. Since it was Zhang Yuji who said it, everyone naturally believed it, because Zhang Yuji and Zhang Taiying were good friends. Zhang Yuji must know the most about Zhang Taiying's affairs. Li Yanhao is the object of admiration of many palace maids. If Li Yanhao likes a noble lady, then the palace maids will only accept this fact. Although they are disappointed, they will not be unwilling. But the fact is that Li Yanhao likes palace maids of the same status as everyone else. Now, everyone is unhappy. Why would Li Yanhao like Zhang Taiying when they are all palace maids of the same status, and Zhang Taiying's status is not very high, and her family is also declining? Even if her cooking skills are good, she is not better than others in other aspects. She is not the most beautiful, and her figure is not the best. Does Li Yanhao have problems with his eyes, so he likes such a woman? The palace maids are very unwilling. This caused Zhang Taiying's situation in the palace to become worse. Although she usually has a good relationship with people, at this time, because of Li Yanhao, she almost offended most of the palace maids, and no one was willing to get close to Zhang Taiying anymore. In addition to the older palace maids, the palace maids who used to play well with Zhang Taiying also alienated Zhang Taiying. They think Zhang Taiying's character is not good. Many of her friends knew that Zhang Yuji liked Li Yanhao, and Zhang Taiying also knew it. As a result, as Zhang Yuji's best friend, she actually stole Zhang Yuji's boyfriend. This was really not a decent thing to do. Zhang Taiying is now alone in the palace and looks quite pitiful. The older palace maids and those who don't like Li Yanhao can't help but sympathize with Zhang Taiying, but Su Qingni knows that Zhang Taiying is not pitiful. Her attitude is very pitiful. The more she is encouraged by other palace maids, the more she pities Zhang Taiying. Su Qingni saw someone go to Zhang Taiying several times at night and comfort Zhang Taiying tenderly. Zhang Yuji and Zhang Taiying broke up completely. She relied on her status to embarrass Zhang Taiying many times, but all of them were resolved by Zhang Taiying. Because of these things, Zhang Taiying helped to save a lot of relationships with the palace maids. These palace maids sympathized with Zhang Taiying and felt that Zhang Yuji was too unreasonable. Zhang Taiying breathed a sigh of relief as her reputation was restored little by little. However, she was not completely relieved because she was in big trouble again. The prince was poisoned again, and the kitchen was implicated again. Zhang Taiying was one of the palace maids in charge of food, and was directly caught by the palace guards and sent to prison. Li Yanhao panicked and ran around very actively to find the real murderer and help Zhang Taiying clear the suspicion. The palace was in a panic because of this incident, and everyone was trembling with fear, fearing that they would be involved. This time the matter was more serious than the last poisoning of Chang Guiangjin. Last time, Only Niangniang was poisoned, but this time, 3 princes were poisoned, including Tiang Dajin. Dajin is actually the crown prince. How could the king not be furious when the heir to country was poisoned? Many palace servants were punished because the king took out his anger on them. Some were expelled from the palace and some were imprisoned. The palace maids were all scared. They had nothing to do. They all huddled in their rooms and dared not walk outside. The same was true for the people in the Sizifang. Although the burning of the kitchen did not implicate the Sizifang, they were all worried and could not do their work. Su Qingni was not in the mood to do anything. Among the 3 princes who were poisoned this time was Niangniang. Although the poison was controlled by the doctors, it was heard that the poison was not completely resolved. Niangniang and the other 2 princes were still in danger. It felt like time was passing very slowly, but no matter how slow it was still dark. Su Qingni left the palace maid's residence and went to the palace where Niangniang lived. In order to make it easier for the doctors to treat the princes, the 3 poisoned princes were moved to one palace. There were many guards outside the palace, and bright candles were lit in the palace. With the palace maids taking care of the 3 princes without sleeping, it was difficult to get close to the 3 people. Of course, this is difficult for ordinary people. But it was very easy for Su Qingni. After avoiding the guards who were closely watching and pressing the acupuncture points of the palace servants who were taking care of the patient, Su Qingni came to the side of Niangniang and stretched out her hand to feel his pulse. It was a very toxic poison, but fortunately the doctors were very skilled and had controlled the toxicity. But if the antidote was not taken within 3 days, the 3 poisoned people would die. Su Qingni determined the nature of the poison based on Niangniang's pulse and then came up with an antidote. She left Niangniang's room and went to the room where the doctors were. The doctors had not rested yet, and they were all looking through the information to find clues to the antidote. There were 10 doctors in this room, the best doctors in the capital. These doctors were also quite capable, and they actually analyzed some of the ingredients of the poison, and also took pictures of the ingredients needed in the antidote accordingly. But at their speed, they could not research all the antidote ingredients within 3 days. Let's help them. Su Qingni walked to each doctor and imitated their handwriting, writing down the names of 1 or 2 medicinal herbs on the straw paper that each person used to record their research results. Adding up the medicinal herbs on the straw paper of 10 people, it was just enough to prepare an antidote. Chapter 659, Palace Maid 12. After releasing the doctor's sleeping points, Su Qingni left the room. She went to Niangniang's room again, looked at Niangniang who was in a coma, and turned into the dark night. As soon as she left, Niangniang, who was in a coma, opened his eyes, turned his head with difficulty and looked around, and Niangniang sighed. Was he dreaming? Otherwise, how could he think Su Qingni came to see him? What was Su Qingni's identity? Now she couldn't even get within 10 meters of him. However, why was there a familiar smell in the air? This smell was very unique and belonged to only one person. Could it be that he was deeply poisoned and had hallucinations? Hallucinations were hallucinations, and he was content to die in such an addictive smell. Niangniang closed his eyes and fell into coma again. He had just fallen asleep when the person serving him woke up. Sanfu shuddered suddenly. Why did he fall asleep? Is His Highness okay? Sanfu immediately rushed to the front of Niangniang. Seeing that Niangniang was still in a coma and had no other signs of pain, Sanfu breathed a sigh of relief. He reached out and patted his cheeks to get rid of all the sleepiness. He stared wide-eyed and stayed by Niangniang's side, not dozing off again. On the other side of the palace, in the brightly lit room, 10 doctors also woke up. They did not suspect anything, but thought they were too tired and dozed off. After all, they had not rested since the 3 princes were poisoned. The 10 doctors saw the names of the herbs on their draft papers and did not think much about it. After all, the characters were exactly the same as their own. One doctor said, in order to avoid dozing off again, why don't we discuss it together? Everyone nodded in agreement. It is indeed easy to be affected by sleepiness when studying alone. When everyone discusses together, the atmosphere is aroused and they are no longer sleepy. The doctors then discussed, and then they gathered the herbs on their draft papers together and found that these were the ingredients of the antidote. So, the antidote was researched. The 3 princes drank the antidote and their lives were saved. The doctors can finally rest in peace. But other people in the palace can't rest yet, because the masterminds and the real murderer of the poison have not been found. This time, the person who poisoned did it very secretly, and did not leave any clues except for the people in the kitchen who took the blame. However, with the existence of Li Yunho, the suspected male protagonist who persevered in tracking down the real murderer for his lover, the person who poisoned and the real murderer behind the scenes were still found out. The main reason is that there is a woman in the villain camp who loves Li Yunho deeply. Li Yunho found some clues that will involve the family of this woman, and the family of the woman sent people to kill Li Yunho. As a result, the woman who chose love betrayed her family for the person she loved and saved Li Yunho, but Li Yunho caught the tail of this family, pulled it hard, pulled out a long string, and solved the whole case. Su Qingni also knew the woman who had betrayed her family for Li Yunho. She was the girl from the Kim family who had competed with Zhang Yuji to give Li Yunho a purse. She was the girl from the Kim family who had betrayed the Hong family. Because of this case, the case of Chen Yangjin being poisoned was turned over again. The investigation found that the Kim family was secretly involved in Chen Yangjin's murder and pushed all the crimes onto the Huang family. The Hong family was guilty at the beginning, but the crime was not that serious. Some of them were framed by the Kim family. This time, the Hong family was also overturned. The king pardoned the Hong family and recalled the surviving exiled people of the Hong family back to the capital, while many people from the Kim family were exiled from the capital. Although Kim Minjin saved Li Yunho and Li Yunho pleaded for her, she was really involved in the poisoning incident and was supposed to be executed. She was sentenced to exile because of Li Yunho's plea. Kim Minjin was exiled to Jeju Island, which was exactly where Hong Sudong was exiled. On the day when Kim Minjin set out, Hong Sudong happened to return to the capital. One of the two people left the city, and the other entered the city, passing by each other. Li Yunho made a contribution in this incident. The king asked Li Yunho what reward he wanted. Li Yunho expressed his desire to marry Yung Taeyang as his legal wife. Li's father and eldest brother did not agree with Li Yunho marrying a maid with no background, but the king was very happy. He valued Li Yunho very much and wanted to reuse Li Yunho. If Li Yunho had a powerful wife family, the king might be afraid, but Li Yunho only wanted to marry a maid with no background, so the king was much less afraid of him. The king was very happy to grant Li Yunho and Yung Taeyang a marriage. Yung Taeyang and most of the people who burned the kitchen were released. When everyone was still in fear, they heard such good news, and the fear in their hearts disappeared. They were all jealous and hateful of Yung Taeyang, but on the surface, they were all happy for Yung Taeyang, and congratulated him one after another. In any case, Zhang Taeyang's status is different from theirs. She will be a noble lady in the future. No matter how angry they are with Zhang Taeyang, they cannot offend her. Su Qingni was also dragged by Kui Mingxi to congratulate Zhang Taeyang. Zhang Taeyang was packing her luggage in her room. After tomorrow, she will leave the palace to get married. Su Qingni and Kui Mingxi gave Zhang Taeyang gifts, which were small gadgets they made themselves. Zhang Taeyang accepted them with a smile. Zhang Taeyang had a good impression of Su Qingni, better than Kui Mingxi. In her eyes, Su Qingni was a smart person, not talkative, and serious about work. Such a person could live longer in the palace. But such a person is not liked by others. But she didn't care. Zhang Taeyang also gave Su Qingni and Kui Mingxi gifts. The two did not stay at Zhang Taeyang's place for long. Soon, other people came to visit Zhang Taeyang. Zhang Taeyang had to receive other people, so the two could not stay for long and said goodbye and left. After walking a distance, Choi Myung-hee snorted coldly and said unhappily, "What's so great about that?" Su Qingni said, "She is just amazing." Choi Myung-hee said unconvincedly, "Why does Li Yunho fall for Yung Taeyang? She's obviously not that pretty, not even as pretty as me." "It's hard to say about fate," Su Qingni said. "When you meet someone who is destined to be with you, he will think you are the most beautiful person in the world. There is a saying in the Ming dynasty, in the eyes of the beholder, beauty comes from Zai Shi." Zai Shi was a famous beauty in ancient Ming dynasty. Choi Myung-hee still refused to accept. "I must find a man who is better than Li Yunho, and must be better than Yung Taeyang." Su Qingni. "It seems that among the young officials and guards, there are very few who are better than Li Yunho. You didn't get along so badly with Yung Taeyang before, why do you want to compete with her now?" Su Qingni asked. Choi Myung-hee sighed, "I want to get married too." Chapter 660 Palace Maid 13. Just like Kui Hea said, the best destination for women in this era is to get married. Kui Mingxi and most of the palace maids have the same idea. There are not many women who want to stay in the palace forever. Zhang Tiang can get married before she is old enough to leave the palace, which hurts the eyes and hearts of many people. What's more, Qi Mingxi also likes Li Yunhao. It is too normal for Qi Mingxi to be jealous and hate Zhang Tiang. After returning to the Sizhi room, Qi Mingxi began to appear and disappear in the following days, and was often not in the Sizhi room. Su Qingni knew that she was looking for a long-term meal ticket. Stimulated by Zhang Tiang, the hearts of the palace maids were uneasy. Many people, like Qi Mingxi, frequently went out to contact the guards in the palace. Even some officials who often entered the palace were treated warmly by the palace maids. There was still some effect. Several palace maids and guards became. However, these guards were not valued by the king like Li Yunhao, and they could not ask the king to marry their lovers. They could only wait until their lovers reached the age of leaving the palace before marrying them. But even so, these maids have become the envy of other maids. Choi Myung-hee looked down on those ordinary guards. She held her breath in her heart and wanted to suppress Yoon Tae-young. However, there are really not many men who are better than Lee Yoon-ho. There are people who are more talented than Lee Yoon-ho, but they are not as good looking as Lee Yoon-ho. There are more people who are higher in official positions than Lee Yoon-ho, but unfortunately they are older than Lee Yoon-ho. The youngest has entered his 30s and has a wife at home. Su Qingni often saw Choi Myung-hee coming back to the Sizifang with her head down. Becoming a concubine, there is a fixed day off every month, and you can leave the palace. Su Qingni usually stays in the palace during holidays, but today, Su Qingni left the palace. She was going out of the palace to see Su Changyuan. Su Changyuan passed the official examination a year ago and was awarded an official position this year. Although it was just a small official, it was also very remarkable for him. After Su Changyuan came to Beijing, he contacted Su Qingni and asked Su Qingni to go home during her vacation. The brother and sister had not seen each other for so many years, and Su Changyuan still missed this sister. Especially this sister has made a great contribution to his family and his future. After not seeing each other for many years, Su Qingling and Su Changyuan have each started their own families. Su Qingling married a businessman. Although his status was not very high, the businessman was rich. Su Qingling now has someone to serve her when she eats and changes clothes, and she no longer has to work and starve. She is very satisfied. Su Changyuan's wife is the daughter of one of his teachers. She is gentle and virtuous. Although she has some of her own little thoughts, she is generally good. This sister-in-law has a good attitude towards Su Qingni and is very enthusiastic. The sister-in-law has read books and has topics to talk about with Su Qingni. The two get along well. The sister-in-law is pregnant. She is 5 months pregnant and her belly is already very big. Su Qingni secretly took the pulse of the sister-in-law, and both the pregnant woman and the child are very healthy. After staying at home for most of the day, Su Qingni left. Although it is called home, she is like a guest here. After leaving the Su family, Su Qingni went to Qihea's home to visit Qihea. She was also pregnant. Because she was older, her husband was both happy and worried. However, after only 6 months, he had already invited a midwife to the house and specially invited a female doctor to take care of Qihea at home. Qihea's face was full of happiness and radiant, and she looked 10 years younger than when she was in the palace. Seeing her like this, Su Qingni was relieved. After secretly taking Qihea's pulse and calculating Qihea's due date, Su Qingni thought about taking a day off to visit Qihea and escort her delivery and protect Qihea's safe delivery. When she returned to the palace, Su Qingni found that the atmosphere in the doctor's room was a little strange. She turned her head and didn't see Qi Mingxi, so she pulled a girl who could talk and asked, "Quan Mihi, what happened?" Quan Mihi's expression was the same as when everyone heard that Zhang Tiang was married to Li Yunhao by the king some time ago. Su Qingni, Choi Myung-hee has become a phoenix. What? Su Qingni was surprised. Choi Myung-hee has also become a special court lady. I didn't expect Choi Myung-hee to choose the same path as Jiang Wuhe. Did she despise Jiang Wuhe? She said that the king was over 50 years old, and she felt uncomfortable just thinking about serving an old man. As a result, she did the same thing as Jiang Wuhe. No. Quan Miji said jealously, Choi Myung-hee is much better than Jiang Wuhe. She didn't seduce the king, but hooked up with Prince Tiang. Prince Tiang has already asked the king for Choi Myung-hee. Su Qingni couldn't help but give Choi Myung-hee a thumbs up. Great, this girl is amazing, she actually hooked up with the future king. The young and handsome prince. She really did it. Whether Prince Tianyang is better than Li Yunho or not, I won't comment on this. But Prince Tianyang is as young as Li Yunho, as handsome as Li Yunho, but his status is far higher than Li Yunho. Even if Choi Myung-hee was only a concubine of Prince Tianyang, one of his many women. But as long as Prince Tianyang ascended the throne and became the king, Choi Myung-hee would definitely be able to get a position, and it would not be a special palace maid like Zhang Yuji who had a low status. In this way, Choi Myung-hee would be enough to suppress Zhang Taiying. She really found a way. Su Qingni muttered. Before dinner, Choi Myung-hee returned to the Sizzy room, followed by several palace maids, who would serve her in the future. Choi Myung-hee had changed into a bright dress, which made her look more beautiful. Choi Myung-hee did not act arrogant as soon as she gained power. She greeted the people in the Sizzy room kindly and said goodbye to everyone. When she came to Su Qingni, Choi Myung-hee said, "Qingni, do you want to be by my side and be my most secret palace maid?" The people around her now were transferred to her from other places, and she didn't know where they were from or whether there were spies among them. She hoped to have her own confidant, and Su Qingni was the candidate she was very optimistic about. Su Qingni is a low-key and taciturn person, and is most suitable to be a confidant. Queen Mingxi never thought that Su Qingni would refuse. After all, being her top consort is a promotion. The status of the top consort is higher than that of the concubine. "No, I like the work in the Sizifeng and don't want to leave." Unexpectedly, Su Qingni agreed. Queen Mingxi was stunned and asked, "You really don't want to consider it?" Su Qingni shook her head. "Are you kidding? She would give up such an easy life in the Sizifeng to become a running-legged top consort." Queen Mingxi's face suddenly became ugly. He snorted coldly, and left angrily with his men after saying, "You don't know what's good for you." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 661, Palace Maid 14. The king and his courtiers decided to go hunting. 1/3 of the maids in the kitchen had to go with them, and each department would send 1 or 2 maids to follow in case of emergency. The Sizifeng sent Su Qingni and another palace lady, Lin Shangguang. Lin Shangguang was not young anymore, she was over 40 years old, and her spirit was not very good, so when something happened, Su Qingni would handle it. However, from the king to the soldiers, everyone took good care of their clothes and would not easily damage their clothes, so there was not much for Su Qingni to do, and it was very leisurely. After arriving at the destination, they set up the tent and Lin Shangguang lay down to rest. The bumpy journey made her bones fall apart. Su Qingni left the tent and saw that the maids in the kitchen had already started to prepare food and were busy. The maids in other departments had nothing to do, and like Su Qingni, they left the tent and were wandering around. It was much freer in the wild than in the palace, and the maids could also go out of the camp for a walk when they had nothing to do. The maids went out of the camp in 2s and 3s. Su Qingni followed them and walked out. Outside the camp was a vast grassland with galloping horses. Most of them were nobles riding horses to relax. Su Qingni saw Zhang Taiyang and Li Yunhao. Li Yunhao was teaching Zhang Taiyang to ride a horse. The intimacy between the two made people envious. No one could interrupt the atmosphere between them. Su Qingni also saw Niangniang Pingxin. He followed a few young men. Judging from the clothes of those young men, they should also be princes. The wind from the grassland blew in her face. Su Qingni squinted her eyes. She sensed the solemn and bloody aura from the wind. Su Qingni had a bad premonition in her heart. This hunt was likely to go wrong. Su Qingni looked at Niangniang Pingxin for a while, hoping that this man would not fall into danger again. After returning to the tent and waiting for a while, the maid in charge of the kitchen called them to eat. Today's staple food is cold noodles, which is very appetizing with sour sauce, which makes people like Lin Shangguang who are tired have an appetite. In the next few days, Su Qingni and Lin Shangguang lived a very easy life. They didn't have to work, and they could go to the grassland to relax every day, which was much more comfortable than being in the palace. However, Su Qingni felt that the murderous smell coming from the wind was getting worse and worse. At night, Su Qingni lay next to Lin Shangguang. Lin Shangguang had fallen asleep and was snoring. Su Qingni opened her eyes and stared at the top of the tent, waiting for a certain moment to come. After waiting for about 2 hours, it was already very late. It was the time when night and dawn alternated. This was the time when people were the most tired and relaxed. Suddenly, the sound of weapons hitting and shouting rang out. Su Qingni breathed a sigh of relief. After waiting for a few days, she finally waited. The noise was getting louder and louder. Consort Lin was awakened. She sat up in a daze and asked, "What's that noise? So loud?" Su Qingni had already stood up and said to Consort Lin, "Consort Lin, get up quickly. We have to run for our lives." "What? Run for our lives?" Consort Lin was still a little confused about the situation. Su Qingni said, "Someone is plotting a rebellion and has led his troops into the camp. We must quickly find a hidden place to hide in order to save our lives." Consort Lin suddenly got up from the ground, rushed to the door of the tent, lifted the curtain and looked out, and her face immediately turned pale. Many places in the camp are on fire, and there are people outside. So we have to run away quickly, so as not to be affected by the chaotic soldiers and lose our lives in vain. Su Qingni said. Yes, yes, yes. Consort Lin no longer had her own opinion. She did whatever Su Qingni said. Su Qingni asked Consort Lin to put on a thick cloak and took Consort Lin out of the tent. Many palace maids also ran out of their tents, but they didn't know what to do next, and they all circled in confusion. Su Qingni stood up and said loudly, "Don't panic, everyone. The rebels are too busy to care about us women who have no fighting power. We are still safe for the time being. But in order to avoid being burned by the fire in the camp and being affected by the bloodthirsty chaotic army, and being chopped by them if we are not careful, we still have to find a hidden place to hide. I know a place where we can hide." A palace maid who was cooking in the kitchen shouted loudly, "I usually go outside to get water and found a mountain cave where I can hide." Su Qingni hurriedly said, "Then you lead the way, let's go there quickly." "Okay, okay." The woman stepped forward and shouted to everyone, "Everyone follow me." The palace maids had a backbone and hurriedly followed the palace maids. Su Qingni supported Lin Shangong and walked at the end. Suddenly, she turned her head with a feeling. In her sight, she saw Niangniang fighting with someone. Niangniang's skills were pretty good, but there were too few people on his side. Apart from him and another young man, there was only Niangniang's personal attendant Sanfu. The three of them faced more than 10 or 20 rebels, and they were all wounded. Without reinforcements, the three of them would have died on the spot. Su Qingni stopped abruptly. Lin Shangong was running forward, her arm around Su Qingni's arm. Su Qingni's paws almost made Lin Shangong fall. Lin Shangong quickly steadied herself and called Su Qingni, "What's wrong?" Su Qingni let go of the book that she was holding Lin Shangong's arm with, and gave her an apologetic smile. "I'm sorry, Lin Shangong, you go with him. I have some things to go back and deal with." After that, she turned around and ran towards Niangniang without waiting for Lin Shangong's reaction. Lin Shangong called Su Qingni, but did not call Su Qingni back. She would definitely not chase after him and die, so Lin Shangong wished Su Qingni good luck in her heart and turned around to catch up with the main force. Su Qingni quickly rushed to Niangniang's side, just when a knife was about to chop Niangniang. Su Qingni intervened, snatched the knife, and kicked the owner of the knife out. When Niangniang saw Su Qingni, he yelled in exasperation, "Why are you running over here? Get out of here!" Su Qingni raised her eyebrows. She didn't expect Niangniang to react like this. Niangniang had only seen her twice. Did he know who she was? From this tone, why did she feel that Niangniang was very familiar with her? "Niangniang? Do you know who I am?" "Su Qingni. Are you sick? You actually ran over here to die. Get out of here!" Niangniang shouted angrily. As expected, he knew her. Su Qingni was secretly delighted. Could it be that this person has special feelings for her? "Your Highness, do you think I can get out if I leave now?" Chapter 662, Palace Maid 15. After Su Qingni came to Niangniang, the rebels had blocked her retreat and surrounded her and the other three people. Su Qingni could no longer retreat. Niangniang sighed helplessly and said to Su Qingni, "Stay with me, I will definitely protect you. Even if I don't want my own life, I will save your life." Su Qingni was moved by her words and smiled, "Your Highness, I just saved you from the knife." Niangniang's face flushed red. "Well, I was careless and almost." Before he finished speaking, he was almost stabbed by the rebels' weapons. Su Qingni helped him knock the rebels' weapons away, and her smooth moves made Niangniang's eyes widen. "Awesome. Another prince exclaimed. Su Qingni smiled. Your Highness, you hide behind me, I will lead you to fight. Sanfu, you stay behind to protect the two princes. I will fight with you side by side. Niangniang said hurriedly. How could he be protected by a woman behind him? Would the husband's authority be weakened in the future? Okay. Su Qingni understood his male chauvinism, which was all caused by the environment. Anyway, she just needed to pay more attention to taking care of Niangniang. With the addition of Su Qingni, a powerful force output, the four people quickly broke out of the encirclement. Su Qingni wanted to take the three people to find a hidden place to hide, but neither Niangniang nor the other Prince Xiao Yuangjun was willing. They were worried about the king in the center of the camp and his safety. After all, the king was their father. If the king died, their identity as princes would be ruined. Su Qingni had no choice but to take the three people and sneak into the camp again, avoiding the fighting guards and rebels, and enter the camp. In the camp, the two sides were confronting each other. Obviously, the king's side was weak. There were less than 10 guards left around him, while the rebels had 30 or 40 people. Niangniang and Xiao Yuangjun recognized that the leader of the rebels was the king's cousin and their uncle Niangniang. Niangniang always appears to be honest and weak outside, but it was all his disguise. This man has been dormant for many years and has only shown his fangs now. It's just like Aizen's sudden transformation. The two sides confronted each other. Niangniang was triumphant, and the king was pale. I don't know what the two said before they came. Looking at the king's eyes, there was understanding and unwillingness. It seems that he had anticipated Niangniang's rebellion, but he underestimated it. He didn't expect Niangniang to act so quickly. Niangniang frowned and looked at the situation in the big tent. He wanted to rescue the king, but the difference in the number of enemies in us was too large, and this goal could not be achieved at all. Su Qingni lay beside Niangniang's ear and whispered, "You just need to protect the king with the remaining guards, and leave everything else to me." "No, it's too dangerous." Niangniang ignored the numbness of the hot air blowing on his ears and strongly objected. Su Qingni chuckled. "Why, you don't think highly of my fighting ability?" Niangniang. After being killed all the way out of the encirclement of the rebels and seeing Su Qingni's toughness with his own eyes, Niangniang has already admitted that he will not be able to control his husband in the future. Too dangerous. Niangniang wanted to save the emperor, but he didn't want the girl he liked to take risks. "Don't worry, I know my limits and won't let those people hurt me." Su Qingni assured Niangniang, "Okay, I'll deal with the rebels right away, you go protect the king." After that, Su Qingni didn't give Niangniang time to stop her. She ran out of her hiding place and rushed into the big tent. The big tent suddenly became chaotic. At first, everyone saw a woman running in, but they didn't care. But what use can a woman be? As a result, this woman is so tough. Her fighting ability is great. She knocked down several rebels in a few strokes and was about to rush to Niangniang. Niangniang shouted for people to protect him, and the guards around him reacted and blocked the woman who rushed over. The king and his guards were dumbfounded. Who was this tough woman who suddenly appeared? Her skills were amazing. Even a grown man couldn't be her opponent. Judging from her clothes, she was a palace maid. There was such a powerful person in his own palace? The king's eyes lit up. If he made this palace maid his woman, wouldn't he have a strong and personal bodyguard in the future? Father. Niangniang brought Sanfu and Xiao Yuangjun to the king and interrupted the king's why. When the king saw Niangniang and Xiao Yuangjun, his face changed again and he asked, "Why did you come here?" Xiao Yuangjun said, "Father, we are worried about you and we are here to rescue you." "What the hell are you talking about?" The king couldn't help but swear, "Since you were not killed by the rebels, you should hide well and save your lives. You are not here to rescue me, you are here to die. My father and I were killed by Niangniang, and the throne fell into his hands. Who'll avenge us?" The king knew very well that Niangniang had been dormant and calculating for so many years, and suddenly launched a rebellion. He must have planned it carefully. In addition to the fire and shouts outside, I am afraid that all his sons, except for the two who came to his side, have been killed. The king closed his eyes and suppressed the sadness in his heart. He thought calmly about how to save the lives of his only two sons. Even if he risked his own life, he had to let these two escape. There are many ministers outside who are loyal to him. As long as the two children claim to be avenging him, those people will definitely support the two children and confront Niangniang. The outcome is unknown, But maybe the two children can really avenge themselves and seize the throne. Father, don't worry. With King Ni here, we will be fine. Niangniang spoke. The king extracted information from Niangniang's words, looked at the palace maid who was about to attack Niangniang, and asked, "Is that palace maid yours?" Niangniang's face flushed slightly, but he nodded firmly, "Yes." The king sighed in his heart. Such a good bodyguard turned out to be his son's. He has such a good character, but he can't compete with his son for people. What a pity. While the two were talking, Su Qingni had already arrived beside Niangniang, knocked down all the guards around him, grabbed Niangniang, and put the knife in his hand to Niangniang's neck. "Don't move, or I will kill him. To catch a thief, you must first catch the king," a wise saying. The king was captured. How dare the rest of the little shrimps move? They could only drop their weapons and surrender. The situation took a big turn, not to mention Niangniang did not react, even the king did not react for a while. It was only when Niangniang reminded the king that the king reacted and grinned at Su Qingni. Chapter 663 Palace Maid 16. The rebellion planned by Niangniang was carefully planned for a long time, and the reactions of the king and ministers were calculated. Originally, he could succeed. He could catch the king and his sons in one fell swoop, but because of one person, the rebellion ended in a whimper. After Su Qingni handed Niangniang to the king, she didn't care about the rest. Those were all matters in the court, and the king couldn't let her, a maid, know, even if the maid had the merit of saving the king. Su Qingni left the king's tent and went to the mountains to find Lin Shanggong and others. Niangniang originally wanted to follow, but the king kept Niangniang. Niangniang was caught, but there were still many things to deal with later. Only Niangniang and Xiaoyuangjun were left by the king, so naturally they had to stay with him to help. It was also because the outside was too chaotic. Who knew that there were still unwilling rebels lurking outside, waiting for an opportunity to attack? Niangniang didn't want the only two remaining sons to be hurt. Su Qingni left the camp and walked into the mountains. Along the way, Su Qingni saw many fleeing rebels. Although Su Qingni was alone and a delicate girl, the rebels were in no mood to tease her. They only wanted to escape now. These rebels were heading into the mountains. Only by entering the mountains could they have a way out. Su Qingni sympathized with these rebels. Rebellion was not what they wanted. They were just following orders, but they had to bear the consequences. Su Qingni turned her feet and walked away from these rebels. Not long after walking, she found the mountain nest and shouted loudly to Lin Shanggong. Lin Shanggong recognized Su Qingni's voice and responded hurriedly, "Qingni, is that you?" "It's me." Su Qingni replied, "Lin Shanggong, you guys come out. The rebellion is over, and the king has won. Let's go back to the camp. The kitchen should also prepare breakfast for the king and others." Immediately, the maids who were in the kitchen shouted, "Oh, go back quickly, don't delay us in making breakfast." With a sound, many maids ran out of the mountain nest. These were the people who were in the kitchen. After them, the maids from other departments came out cautiously. Su Qingni saw Lin Shanggong, walked forward and supported Lin Shanggong. Lin Shanggong looked at Su Qingni carefully and found that she was fine and had no injuries. She breathed a sigh of relief and held Su Qingni's hand tightly. "It's great that you are okay." Su Qingni smiled slightly and thanked Lin Shanggong for her concern, not caring whether this concern was sincere or fake. "Let's go back." The women supported each other and left the forest and returned to the camp. At this moment, the camp had restored order. There were soldiers guarding the gate of the camp. When they saw a group of them, they did not let them in. Instead, they asked about their identities and then let them into the camp. The shop was full of blood. There were no corpses on the ground, but there was blood-stained ground. Many maids couldn't stand it and almost vomited. A team of patrolling soldiers saw them like this, and they all curled their lips in disdain, muttering women, and left. The maids were despised and angry. They were forced to hold back their discomfort and return to where they lived before. Unfortunately, the tents they originally lived in had been burned down. The women had no choice but to search in the ruins to see if they could find anything useful from the ruins. Pots, pans, and other things that were not burned were burned, but the ingredients were all burned. The person who burned the kitchen had no choice but to ask the patrolling soldiers to find the adults in charge of security in the camp and ask the soldiers to help get some ingredients from the wild so that they could prepare breakfast for the king and the adults. The adults ordered a team of soldiers to go out and hunt some pheasants and rabbits, and picked some wild vegetables. The person who burned the kitchen stewed pheasant soup, roasted rabbits, and mixed wild vegetables, barely making a breakfast. After that, everyone sat on the ground with their legs hugged, feeling very distressed. Without a tent, how to sleep? Without ingredients, how to cook? Without sewing tools, how to do things? Just when everyone was worried, someone came to convey the king's order, and then everyone packed up and prepared to return to the palace. The maids breathed a sigh of relief. It was good to go back to the palace. Once they got back to the palace, everything would be ready. They didn't have to worry anymore. Everyone acted quickly. The team set off within an hour after the order was issued. Unlike when they came here, they walked slowly with the interest of playing. On the way back, they rushed back with all their might. It took 2 days to come here, but it took less than a day to return to the palace. The rebellion had nothing to do with the maids. As soon as they returned to the palace, they ran back to their own territory. They didn't care about the curious inquiries of other maids. They all went back to their rooms and had a good sleep first. The night before, they were frightened and didn't sleep for half the night. When they woke up, they didn't need to tell the other maids who stayed in the palace to know what happened. However, the people in the palace didn't know what happened in detail, so they pulled the maids who were out and asked them to tell them more specifically. Su Qingni didn't like to talk in the first place, so the people in the Sizzy room didn't expect to hear anything thrilling from her, and they all pestered Lin Shanggong to tell them what happened. Lin Shanggong liked the feeling of being sought after. Although she didn't know much, she told the story in a thrilling and tortuous way, which made the young palace maids exclaim from time to time. Su Qingni stayed in the Sizzy room honestly, but she knew that such a day was not far away. Not to mention Niangniang, she showed her face in front of the king, and the king would not let her stay in the Sizzy room. These days should be her last days in the Sizzy room. Sure enough, after only 10 days, the king sent someone to summon her. Su Qingni followed the palace people to the palace where the king rested, and saw the king, Niangniang, Xiao Yuangjun and 2 other young people. Su Qingni's eyes swept over the 2 young people, and her eyes swept over their injured faces and feet, and understood their identities. These 2 were also princes, and their luck was better than their other brothers. They saved their lives, but one of them was injured in the face and disfigured, and the other injured his leg. Prince Taiyang was away, and the poor prince escaped being poisoned, but he could not escape the rebellion. Su Qingni paid respects to the king and his son, and knelt beside them. The king looked at the girl in front of him, then looked at his son, sighed in his heart, and said, "Su Qingni, my son exchanged the opportunity to become a prince for marrying you as his wife. What do you think?" Chapter 664, Palace Maid 17. Su Qingni looked up at Niangniang in surprise, and questioned Niangniang with her eyes. "Is what the king said true? Really? You gave up the throne, don't you regret it?" "No regrets. I may have had some thoughts about the throne before, but when I was about to be killed that day, you suddenly appeared in front of me, and I understood that you are more important than the throne." "Really? Don't you believe me?" "I believe you." Su Qingni bent her upper body towards the king. Su Qingni is just a palace maid, and she is not qualified to comment on the prince. The king narrowed his eyes. He was originally unhappy and even wanted to kill Su Qingni, but after Su Qingni was called over by the palace, the king found that Su Qingni was the woman who captured Niangniang that day. Knowing her martial arts value, the king's killing intention was gone. It would be a pity to kill such a powerful person, and winning him over is the best choice. Who knows when he will encounter danger again? With such a person around, safety can be increased a lot. Since his son wants to marry her, marry her. Anyway, in addition to Niangniang, he has another healthy son, Xiao Yuangjun. He wanted Niangniang to be the crown prince before, but Niangniang was older than Xiao Yuangjun and was his elder brother. In fact, Xiao Yuangjun was similar to Niangniang in other aspects. Now that Niangniang has voluntarily given up the throne, it would be better to choose Xiao Yuangjun. Su Qingni returned to the Sizzy room to pack her luggage. The king granted her and Niangniang a marriage. She could no longer stay in the Sizzy room. She had to follow Niangniang out of the palace and return to the Su family to wait for her marriage. Because she was going to be a princess, Su Qingni was also promoted. I think he would be very happy to help his sister prepare for her marriage. The people in the Sizzy room were all surprised to see Su Qingni packing her luggage, and they all came forward to ask Su Qingni what was wrong. Su Qingni smiled and replied, "I'm going to leave the palace and get married." "What?" all the palace maids shouted in surprise. Why is Su Qingni also going to leave the palace to get married? Is it so easy to leave the palace to get married now? First there was Zhang Taiyang, and now there is Su Qingni? No, it's not easy. If it were easy, more than half of them would have left the palace to get married. Zhang Taiyang was because Li Yunhao used his own merits to exchange for the king to grant him and Zhang Taiyang a marriage. Then, whose merits did Su Qingni leave the palace? And who wanted to marry her? Everyone was full of doubts and wanted to ask Su Qingni clearly. But Su Qingni did not give them time to ask questions. She had packed her luggage and left the Sizifang. It was not until 2 months later that everyone in the Sizifang heard the news about Su Qingni. She was actually going to marry Niangniang and become a princess. This is simply a step to heaven. Even more powerful than Zhang Taiyang. Princess. With such a noble status, even if Zhang Taiyang became an official wife, he had to pay tribute to Su Qingni. Everyone was envious and confused, there was jealousy, but they did not dare to show it. Su Qingni's identity was different from Zhang Taiyang's. How did Su Qingni hook up with Niangniang? How come they didn't find any signs at all? Lin Shenggong had some guesses. That night, Su Qingni said that she had something to do. In fact, she was going to find Niangniang, right? Young men and women face life and death together, and the feelings are not getting stronger and stronger? Everyone in the dressmaking room envied her and made a gorgeous dress together to give to Su Qingni as a gift. Su Qingni received the gift and carefully put it away. After drawing her eyebrows and putting on makeup, Su Qingni was escorted out of the Su family gate by Su Changyuan. This was her second real wedding in the small world, and the other half of the soul was the same person. But, would the owner of the soul recognize their weddings? How would he look at her? Su Qingni thought a lot, with both expectations and fears in her heart. However, joy and expectations prevailed at this moment. Who cares? As long as she could have a fate with that person in the small world and spend her life together, she would be satisfied. At the wedding, Su Qingni saw Zhang Taiyang. She followed Li Yunhao to the wedding banquet. Zhang Taiyang had a forced smile on her face. It seemed that her married life was not as smooth as she expected. Yes, although Li Yunhao liked Zhang Taiyang, Li's father, Li's elder brother, and the women of the Li family did not like Zhang Taiyang. Li Yunhao has not separated from his family and lived alone. He and Zhang Taiyang still live in the Li family. Zhang Taiyang lives with a group of people who don't like her every day. It's strange that she can be happy. Although Zhang Taiyang was born in a noble family, her family fell into decline. When she was at home, she didn't receive the education of a girl from an aristocratic family. After entering the palace, she learned the set of palace maids. Now she has become a noble lady, but she is incompatible with others and can't integrate into the upper aristocratic circle at all. This makes her lonely every time she attends a banquet, and everyone isolates her. This wedding banquet is the same. She sat alone outside the circle of people and looked at Su Qingni with sympathy. I think she thinks Su Qingni is the same as herself, and will also be excluded by other noble ladies. But she forgot that Su Qingni's status is different from hers. Su Qingni is a princess with a noble status. Even if other noble ladies and ladies look down on Su Qingni's background, they will not show it, let alone isolate Su Qingni, but try to please Su Qingni. This was also true at various banquets afterwards. Zhang Taiyang was still isolated, and Su Qingni was flattered. Su Qingni did not care about Zhang Taiyang because she and Zhang Taiyang had the same background. She had no ill feelings or good feelings towards Zhang Taiyang, so she should stay away from him. Su Qingni had seen Queen Mingxi when she was in the palace. The originally bright and beautiful woman lost all her colors like a withered flower. Taiyang Dajin died, and Queen Mingxi's dream of becoming a noble concubine was shattered. She and several women of Taiyang Dajin were driven to live in the most remote palace of the palace, and lived with many people. Her food, clothing, housing and transportation were not as good as when she was a maid in the Sizifang. At least when she was a maid, she could go out of the palace to have fun one day a month, but now she doesn't have this treatment. She can only die of old age in this remote palace, and she will never be free for the rest of her life. Su Qingni's experience made Queen Mingxi jealous, but when Su Qingni asked Queen Mingxi if he regretted it, Queen Mingxi said he didn't regret it. She always felt that her choice was correct, she just had bad luck. She didn't expect Kangyangjun to rebel and Taiyang Dajin to die so young. If Kangyangjun hadn't rebelled, Taiyang Dajin would have sat on the throne, and she would have become the king's woman, a concubine more precious than Su Qingni. Unfortunately. You are so lucky. Finally, Queen Mingxi said to Su Qingni. Su Qingni and Niangniang lived happily for their whole lives, but they had no children in their lives, which made others feel very sorry. Chapter 665, You Can Grab the Bride. Back in the witch world, Su Qingni nestled in her palace, holding her red cheeks in her hands, with a happy smile on her lips, but her eyes revealed uneasiness and anxiety. Is Dong Huangtai awake? Has he received the memory of the small world? Did he recognize her? How would he react? Su Qingni didn't dare to find out the news about Dong Huangtai by herself, so she found a junior from the witch clan and asked her to go to the demon clan to find out the news. Su Qingni felt that she looked like a 16 or 17-year-old girl who was just beginning to fall in love, and she didn't look like a great god who had experienced many disasters. But she was very satisfied with herself. She seemed to have returned to the beginning, to Su Qingni, an ordinary person on earth. Unfortunately, Su Qingni at that time was focused on studying, and early love was isolated from her. What she and her two best friends wanted was to study hard, get into the best university, find a good job, make more money, live a good life for themselves, and let the brothers and sisters in the orphanage live a good life. Su Qingni's eyes turned, and the phantoms of two good friends appeared in front of her. Looking at the two phantoms, Su Qingni's eyes were slightly red. Luo Cheng. Lan Xiaoyao. These two are not only her best friends, but also her best sisters. Their relationship is closer than that of real sisters. I wonder how these two are doing? As a great god, Su Qingni can naturally figure out that Luo Cheng and Lan Xiaoyao are still fine, and they each have their own opportunities. Su Qingni has a premonition that the day when she will meet these two people is not far away. The little witch came back after inquiring about the news, and the news she brought back made Su Qingni feel relieved but disappointed. Dong Huangtai is still in seclusion and has not come out yet. I think this person will not come out until he has completely completed his experience and his soul is complete. Su Qingni was disappointed and waved her hand to let the little witch leave. She sat for a while, went to find Empress Pingxin, and gave the ancestor witch true spirit found in the previous world to Empress Pingxin. Seeing that Su Qingni was a little different from usual, Empress Pingxin asked with concern, "What's wrong? But what happened in other worlds?" Su Qingni was silent for a moment, and told Empress Pingxin in detail about her thoughts on Dong Huangtai and her operations in the small world. Empress Pingxin is Su Qingni's elder and the person closest to her. She hopes that Empress Pingxin can give her guidance. Empress Pingxin is naturally closest to Su Qingni, a junior. Su Qingni was sent by her in the future on another timeline, and changed the fate of the Wu clan and the Demon clan. Among the entire Wu clan, the involvement and cause and effect between Empress Pingxin and Su Qingni are the deepest. In Empress Pingxin's heart, Su Qingni is the most different. She really treats Su Qingni as her own daughter. When her daughter has a little worry and someone she likes, what a mother should do is to listen and give encouragement. Empress Pingxin was surprised at first that Su Qingni liked Dong Huangtai, and then thought it was pretty good. If Dong Huangtai and Su Qingni can become a couple, wouldn't he become her son-in-law? Would the demon Emperor Jun also become her junior? Just thinking about it makes me happy. Empress Pingxin encouraged Su Qingni. If you like it, go for it. There is the entire witch clan to support Su Qingni. If Dong Huangtai dares not to accept Su Qingni after waking up, then go and grab the bride, and grab the person to be Su Qingni's husband. Su Qingni sweated. Empress, haven't you always been a gentle person? Is it okay to expose your tough nature? Empress Pingxin said, anyway, no one sees it. Su Qingni, Su Qingni got the support of Empress Pingxin, and her mood became happy and relaxed. She returned to her palace to practice. It's not that she doesn't want to go to other worlds quickly to meet Dong Huangtai who has been reincarnated again, but traveling through time and space consumes too much power. She must practice for a period of time, replenish her power, and adjust her body to the best condition before starting the next time she travels. Alice, in the final analysis, she is not strong enough. If she could be as strong as Dong Huangtai, she wouldn't have to practice every time she traveled through time. Dong Huangtai would definitely not stay too long between traveling through two worlds. After all, he is the most powerful being under the saint. Just a little bit away from becoming a saint. Even though Su Qingni has now reached the threshold of a saint, she is still a long way behind Dong Huangtai in strength. Su Qingni worked hard to practice, not knowing that Empress Pingxin had someone find by after she left. No one knows what Empress Pingxin said to Baizet, but Baizet was in a trance when he left. Su Qingni adjusted her body to the best condition and prepared to travel through time. She saw the ring on her left hand and smiled slightly, making her look extremely bright. Whether it was a thank you gift or something else, that person at least had some interest in her. Thinking of this, Su Qingni's smile became even bigger. With a happy mood, Su Qingni traveled through time and space again. This time, she encountered some minor troubles while traveling through time and space. In order to avoid the violent turbulence of time and space, Su Qingni had to plunge into a world that looked very illusory. I am the dividing line after traveling through time and space. This is a very strange world. It is said to be a martial arts world, but it also has a touch of fantasy. Magical things such as portable packages and teleportation arrays are actually common in this world. Moreover, when people in this world take action, their moves are all equipped with light effects, which look extremely gorgeous. Su Qingni felt that she did not enter the real world, but the game world. This kind of world has happened before. Did she travel through a virtual world created by a stallion girl? She also became one of the targets of the stallion girl's strategy. However, after Su Qingni carefully observed this world, she found that this world was very complete, with complete reincarnation, complete world mapping pattern. Unlike the stallion girl's world, many things in that world are virtual, and the way of heaven is not complete. In this world, the way of heaven is complete and has its own operating rules. Could it be that this is a real world that evolved from a game? This is not impossible. Just like some novels and TV shows gradually condense into a world because of people's wishes, games may also become a world of their own because of people's wishes. Among the many worlds that Su Qingni has traveled through, some are worlds evolved from novels. It is normal to enter a world evolved from a game now. When Su Qingni came to this world, she did not possess other people, but directly became a child in a pregnant woman's belly and was born. Chapter 666 Game World 1. Su Qingni was born in a small village. She has a pair of parents with very high looks. Well, there is no one with low looks in this world, a pair of twins, and a brother who is 1 year younger than her. The people in the village live a life of working from sunrise to sunset, and they seem to be no different from the people in ordinary villages. But in fact, no one in this village is ordinary. They are all masters who live in seclusion. Father Su and Mother Su were once the most powerful couple in the world. The proprietress of the tailor shop was once the leader of the demon cult. Old Song, who sells pork, was once a famous swordsman in the world. Dr. Wan in the medicine shop once poisoned people in the city. Master Yi in the iron shop is the 13th generation descendant of Hewo, and any weapon he makes is a person that everyone in the world fights for. The children in the village are much happier than those in other places. Whatever they want to learn, they can learn in the village, and it is the most advanced skills. Unlike children in other places, if they want to learn skills, they must go to nearby sects to become apprentices. However, they may not be accepted by the sect. The two brothers and sisters like to practice swordsmanship, so they follow their parents to learn the family kung fu. It is said that their parents know a set of combined swordsmanship, which is the real invincible swordsmanship. With a set of swordsmanship, their parents can be called invincible in the world. The younger brother Su Qingni likes knives, so he runs to the pork shop all day long. Su Qingni thinks that for such a young child, he doesn't like knives, but likes to eat meat, right? He thought that after learning knife skills, he could deal with pork and eat meat every day. Su Qingni studied medicine with Dr. Wan, so that he could find a good excuse to take out pills to knock in the future. Life in the village is peaceful and happy. Su Qingni feels that her mentality has become as small as her body. Days passed, and in a blink of an eye, the children in the village grew up. Su Qingni is also 16 years old. The children felt that they could go out and venture, and the elders did not stop them. They only gave a few instructions and let the children leave the village. All 4 children of the Su family are going out to make a living this time. The children thought that their father and mother would be reluctant to let them go, but this pair of parents who look like they are only in their early 20s did not feel reluctant at all. They went out happily, as if they had finally gotten rid of them and could live in a world of 2 people. The 4 children of the Su family. I think when they come back from their adventures, there will be another brother or sister in the family, right? Or 2 more? 3? It's not like Su's mother has never given birth to twins. After leaving the village, the group separated at the entrance of the village. Although everyone is from the same village, they have been playing together since childhood and are tired of playing. It is better for everyone to separate and play their own games. The two brothers and sisters, Su Qingni and Su Qingni, also separated from their brothers and sisters. They wanted to go to the beach to see the sea, while Su Qingni wanted to go to the west to see the scenery of the desert. Su Qingni didn't care where she went. She just wanted to travel all over the world to find the extremely yin place. So in the end, Su Qingni followed Su Qingni. Although Su Qingni learned a lot of skills from the people in the village, and like the other children in the village, he was fed a lot of strange soups by Dr. Wan, which made his body immune to all poisons. But he was only 15 years old and Su Qingni's younger brother. Su Qingni had the best relationship with him since childhood, so naturally he had to take care of this younger brother. At least he had to teach this child how to recognize people, how to distinguish right from wrong, and let him not be deceived. Su Qingni followed Su Qingni to the main city. Their village is located in the south of the Yangtze River. The main city here is Hangzhou, and the buildings are all Jiangnan characteristics. Only the main city has a teleportation array leading to other main cities. The twins of the Su family don't need a teleportation array to go to the beach, but Su Qingni and Su Qingni need a teleportation array to go to the northwest. Otherwise, if they walk by themselves, it will take more than a month. Su Qingni doesn't mind walking for more than a month, but Su Qingni is in a hurry to go to the desert to play, but he doesn't want to spend time on the road, so he wants to use the teleportation array. The cost of using the teleportation array once is quite expensive, and it takes a gold ingot to teleport once. Ordinary people simply cannot afford to use the teleportation array, that is, Su Qingni and her friends. On the surface, they are small bumpkins from a small mountain village, but in fact, each of them is a rich second-generation martial arts second generation. When they go out, the gold given to them by their elders almost fills their storage bags. These storage bags are not the standard ordinary storage bags sold on the market, but are made by the tailor in the village of the former leader of the demon cult. The space is twice that of ordinary storage bags. From this, we can see how much gold these second generations have. After entering the teleportation array and paying the gold ingots, the eyes are blurred, but they have arrived at the destination, Sand City. After walking out of the teleportation array, the scenery you see is completely different from that of Hangzhou. The scenery in the south of the Yangtze River is beautiful, like a beautiful and graceful girl, but the scenery in Sand City is majestic and desolate, like a general who has fought in the battlefield for 100 battles. Su Qingni likes this kind of scenery very much. This child has liked to read the general stories of fighting on the battlefield since he was a child, and the Enlightenment books are military books. There is a retired old general in the village. Su Qingni runs the pork shop and the general's house to listen to the general's stories. Later, he learned the art of war from the general. Since it is the main city, Shenzhen is naturally very lively and prosperous as Hangzhou. There are many shops on the street, people come and go, and there are many small vendors setting up stalls. Su Qingni's eyes fell on a roasted lamb on the rack. This barbecue shop has a grill at the door of the store, with a whole lamb hanging on it. The chef in the store is applying spices to the lamb. The roasted oil is soaked with spices, and when it is roasted by the fire, it emits a fragrant aroma, which stimulates Su Qingni to drool. This guy likes to eat meat, but he can't walk when he sees the roasted lamb. Su Qingni was amused, so she pulled Su Qingni to the store, found a seat and sat down, and told the shop assistant to serve them a roasted lamb leg after the roasted lamb is ready. The barbecue would take a while to be ready, so Su Qingni ordered several other foods bought from the store: mutton soup with steamed buns, mutton offal soup, braised lamb ribs. Su Qingni ate the meat with big mouthfuls, feeling extremely satisfied. He felt that compared to the exquisite Jiangnan delicacies he had grown up with, the rough food from the northwest was more to his liking. The roasted lamb leg was served, and Su Qingni cut off a few slices of meat from it, and gave the roasted lamb leg to Su Qingni. Su Qingni picked up the roasted lamb leg with his hands and started to chew it. There was oil all over his mouth and chin, which made Su Qingni's mouth twitch. Unable to bear to watch any further, Su Qingni turned her eyes to look elsewhere, and saw a girl standing not far from the door, drooling at the lamb on the grill. Chapter 667 Game World 2. The girl's expression when looking at the roasted lamb was exactly the same as Su Qingni's. She was also craving for meat, but she had no money to buy it. The girl was wearing the cheapest linen clothes and even straw sandals. How could she have extra money to buy lamb? Su Qingni had no intention of inviting the girl to eat lamb together. She only stared at the girl for a few seconds and then retracted her gaze. Although this girl gave her a strange feeling. Su Qingni swept away all the food on the table, and his belly was bulging. He let out a long breath, looking very satisfied. Su Qingni looked at him like this, angry and amused. She paid the bill and pulled Su Qingni out of the mutton shop. You're full and it's time to exercise. Su Qingni pulled Su Qingni to the door of the city lord's mansion. There is a large square at the entrance of the city lord's mansion in each main city. There is a bulletin board next to the square with various bounty tasks posted on it. Anyone can take the task, and after completing the task, you can come to the city lord's mansion to receive the reward. Su Qingni and Su Qingni didn't care about the little reward. The two of them were here to exercise. If you practice martial arts well but don't practice them often, your skills will decline. The two had just arrived in Sand City and didn't know much about it, so they only chose a mission near Sand City. The mission was to go to a bandit's nest outside the city to eliminate the bandits. These bandits were all fierce and ruthless, and each of them had blood on his hands, and none of them were innocent. The mission required killing all the bandits, and there was no need to leave any alive. This mission was very simple for the two siblings. They first went to the office staff to register for the mission, and got a general information about the bandit's nest, and then walked to the city gate. Wait a minute, both of you. A woman's voice came from behind. The two didn't think it was them. After all, they had just arrived in Sand City and didn't know anyone. As a result, the shouting became louder and louder, and then a woman ran in front of them and blocked their way. Su Qingni took a look and saw that this was the girl who was drooling at the door of the mutton shop. You two, have you also accepted the mission to wipe out abandoned nest in Niangniang? Well, I have also accepted this mission. Can we team up and complete this mission together? The girl looked at Su Qingni and the others expectantly. Su Qingni looked the girl up and down, and sympathy rose on his face when he saw her linen clothes and straw sandals. Poor thing. She is so poor that she can only make money to support herself by accepting bounty missions. Okay, just take this woman with you. When the mission is completed, he and his sister will not want the bounty. They will give it all to this woman as poverty alleviation. Su Qingni nodded. Okay, you come with us. Ding. NPC Su Qingni agrees to team up with you. Teaming completed. A mechanical sound came from Su Qingni's ears. This is a familiar formula. Sure enough, this world is really a game world, and she and her relatives are indeed NPCs. Is this finally meeting a player? Exclamation mark. The girl was extremely happy when she heard the system prompt. Her face was full of smiles. She said to Su Qingni and Su Qingni, "Hello, my name is Feng's Hero. I am very happy to be your teammate. You are like a beautiful girl on the pond, like snow and softness. Your name is very nice." Su Qingni replied with a smile. Feng's Hero was stunned for a moment and asked, "How do you know these two lines of poetry?" These two lines of poetry are not ancient poems, but from Jin Juju's novel The Heaven Sword and Dragon Saber. This NPC actually knows such a line of poetry. Is she an NPC played by a real person? Su Qingni smiled meaningfully and replied, "The former head of the Emei sect was named Jo's Hero. She said that her name came from these two poems." Fuck. Is there any content from The Heaven Sword and Dragon Saber mixed in this game? Feng's Hero couldn't help but blurt out. Su Qingni narrowed her eyes. It seems that the world where this player is located is very similar to the Earth world. It should not be an interstellar world. The technology is at most 1 or 200 years ahead of the 21st century. If it is too far ahead, no one will read Jin Juju's novel. What is the Heaven Sword and Dragon Saber? Su Qingni asked curiously. No, nothing. Feng's Hero waved her hand quickly. Well, let's go to Niangniang quickly, otherwise we will be delayed for too long and it will be dark when we get there. It's better when it's dark. Su Qingni said, "It's a dark and windy night for murder." Feng's Hero sweated. "You said that, it seems like we are villains." Su Qingni chuckled. "Villains are cool. When I read the storybooks, I liked the villains in them the most." Feng's Hero sweated. "This NPC is also a villain control." "Well, he can't be a villain, right?" Feng's Hero secretly looked at Su Qingni and overturned her judgment. The boy in front of him was no more than 15 years old, and he looked sunny and lively. He didn't look like a villain at all. And at this age, he can't be a villain, right? Unless the dog planned and arranged it. Feng's hero and Su Qingni talked and laughed along the way. The two said a lot of nonsense, but they didn't say any useful information. They didn't know each other's identity. Su Qingni was taught by Su Qingni how to deal with outsiders' inquiries. Therefore, Feng's hero thought that Su Qingni could find out his background at such a young age, but that was a dream. As for Feng's hero, she was an outsider to this world and had no background experience to tell others. She couldn't tell others that she was a player, so she couldn't answer many questions and could only respond vaguely. Su Qingni smiled on the surface, but he was wary of Feng's hero in his heart, and his impression of her became worse. There should be no function to check the NPC's favorability on Feng's hero's game panel, so she didn't know what Su Qingni thought of her. Feng's hero thought she was friends with these two NPCs. She was proud in her heart that young NPCs were easy to fool. When the moon rose, the three people were already lurking outside the bandit's nest. The information provided by the city lord's mansion shows that there are 3 leaders in the bandit's nest, all of whom are third-rate in the martial arts world. In Feng's hero's eyes, the 3 leaders are small bosses at level 30, the remaining 50 bandits are all of low level. In Feng's hero's eyes, these are humanoid monsters from level 15 to level 28. Feng's hero has been in the game for a few days, but she is only level 15, and she is definitely not a match for these humanoid monsters. That's why she found Su Qingni's brother and sister, wanting to use 2 NPCs to help her complete the task. Her idea is indeed quite good. Whether it is a humanoid monster or a boss, they are not a match for any of the Su brothers and sisters. How to say it? The standard for the 2 brothers and sisters and the friends in the village to travel out of the village is that they must reach the level of first-class masters, which is the level 60 of the game character in Feng's hero's eyes. A level 60 strength fighting a level 30 monster, isn't that a kill in seconds? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 668 Game World III. The battle ended quickly. Feng's hero won all the way. Seeing her experience bar rising like a monkey, she was so happy that she couldn't close her mouth. In just half a day, she actually rose 5 levels. After handing in a character, the experience bar will grow again. I must build a good relationship with these 2 people and rely on them to help me level up. Second sister, look at Feng's hero, she is smiling like a fool. Su Qingni whispered to Su Qingni. Su Qingni couldn't help but burst out laughing and said, maybe she got a great benefit. Su Qingni, what benefit can she get? That is, the few copper coins or silver coins dropped by the bandits when they died. He and his second sister didn't want them and gave them to Feng's hero. Is it because of this little money that this woman is happy and becomes a fool? Isn't this too poor? Su Qingni smiled. Feng's hero got a lot of benefits. In Feng's hero's eyes, the 2 of them are the best suckers. Su Qingni glanced at Feng's hero and found that she was touching the corpse. Su Qingni and Su Qingni looked down on the belts, clothes and shoes on the bandits, but in Feng's hero's eyes, they were good things, and they could be sold in the city for money. There were also so-called martial arts secrets carried by several bosses, which were all of low-level martial arts standards. Su Qingni didn't even look at them, but Feng's hero was overjoyed. If Su Qingni and Su Qingni were not still by her side, she would immediately want to click the practice button on the panel to practice. After sweeping the entire bandit nest, the 3 people found the bandits' treasures and divided them into 3 parts, 1 for each person. In addition to the silver and money, Su Qingni looked down on other equipment and weapons and gave them all to Feng's hero. He also felt that Feng's hero was too poor, so he gave most of the silver and money to Feng's hero. Feng's hero was grateful in her heart. These 2 NPCs were really good. She decided to follow these 2 people in the future. The Su family siblings laughed and said, I don't want to be with you. It was already late, and they couldn't enter the city gate to return to Sand City at this time, so the 3 of them slept in the bandit's nest for half a night. Before going to bed, Su Qingni and Su Qingni asked Feng's hero to dig a pit to bury the bodies of the bandits. Feng's hero was reluctant and muttered in a low voice, the bodies will be gone after the refresh, why bother? She didn't know that her voice was heard by others again. Second sister, this Feng's hero is so weird, there are many words that I can't understand. Su Qingni said in Su Qingni's ear. Su Qingni whispered back, if you know she is weird, stay away from her. There's only one player in the whole world. Feng's hero is really weird if she is not weird. Maybe she is a girl of destiny. Following this kind of person, either you will profit from her, or you will become her stepping stone or cannon fodder. Su Qingni didn't want to profit from Feng's hero, and she didn't want Su Qingni to become a cannon fodder implicated by Feng's hero. After the task is completed tomorrow, she will take Su Qingni and Feng's hero apart, and let Su Qingni stay away from Feng's hero. The next day, the three of them returned to Sand City and went to the city lord's mansion to complete the task. The task reward is 100 taels of silver, and of course there are some experience points, but these experience points can only be obtained by Feng's hero. Su Qingni and Su Qingni only took 10 taels of silver, and gave the rest to Feng's hero. Feng's hero was very moved holding the silver. You are really good people. Su Qingni's little face showed contempt. No, we are not good people, we are just rich people. And you are a poor person. A knowing blow. Feng's hero covered her chest with one hand, looking very hurt. Su Qingni smiled and said to Feng's hero very politely, we are going to the inn to wash up and rest now. What about you? Do you want to join us? Feng's hero shook her head. No, I have other things to deal with, so I won't go to the inn. I'll go to the inn to find you after I finish my things. Su Qingni smiled kindly. Okay. So-called things to deal with are to go offline, right? When you come online again, we will all leave and you won't be able to find us. Su Qingni pulled Su Qingni and turned away. Feng's hero saw their figures disappear, chose a direction, walked to a remote and deserted alley, called out the game panel, and clicked to exit the game. There was a flash of white light, and Feng's hero's figure disappeared in the alley. Two figures appeared at the entrance of the alley, and the boy among them had eyes as big as copper bells, and his mouth was wide open, unable to close for a long time. After a long time, the boy made a sound. This person disappeared out of thin air. Yes, the girl next to him responded. How could she disappear suddenly? It's not Qinggong. Could she be a ghost? The boy asked in surprise. The girl replied, no, she is a human. But this person is different from us and has strange abilities. Qin Yi, stay away from Feng's hero in the future. This person is too weird and will bring us trouble. The boy, Su Qingni, nodded. It's not that he didn't feel curious about Feng's hero's ability to disappear suddenly, but Su Qingni believed in his second sister's judgment, and he didn't have much good feelings for Feng's hero. In this case, stay away from her. The two siblings found an inn and asked the waiter to help prepare hot water, take a shower, change clothes, and go to bed. How comfortable could you sleep in the bandit's nest yesterday? Let's talk about Feng's hero. After logging off, Feng's hero opened her eyes, and the first thing she saw was the ceiling of her room. Alice. She is a poor ghost in the game, and she is also a poor ghost in reality. However, such poor days will soon become a thing of the past. I will make money in the game, and I can become rich in reality. Thinking of this, Feng's hero sat up and raised her right hand to her eyes. With a grab of her right hand, a silver ingot appeared in her hand. Seeing this silver ingot, Feng's hero smiled happily. Ha ha ha, great, the gold and silver in the game can really be taken out in reality. Although the amount that can be taken out every day is limited, it is not a small amount when converted into cash. Feng's hero is an ordinary girl in the 21st century. Her hometown is in the countryside. The conditions of her family are not bad but not particularly good. It is already very good that her family can support her and her older brother and sister to be college students. The family savings have been used up to pay for the college tuition of the three children. It was in these few years that the three brothers and sisters graduated one after another, and remitted part of their salary to their parents after work, which made their parents' lives a little better. Feng's hero has just graduated from college, but she can no longer ask her parents for money. She has been in the big city for a few years and was unwilling to return to her hometown, so she stayed in the big city. However, jobs in big cities are not so easy to do. Chapter 669 Game World 4. Feng's hero only graduated from a second-rate university and could not find a good job in a big city. Even if she found a job, the salary would not be high. This made Feng's hero's life very difficult. She rented the cheapest basement, the environment was humid, and the room was dark in broad daylight. Feng's hero envied those good-looking girls very much. They could hook up with rich second generations with their looks and live a good life. But she was ordinary looking and wanted to hook up but had no capital. Just when Feng's hero was complaining about herself, suddenly one day, when she was going home from overtime at night, she saw a meteor falling from the sky and falling in front of her. She found that it was not a meteor, but a small box similar to express packaging. Feng's hero picked up the small box and took it home. When she opened the box, she found that it was a game access device for a holographic online game. Feng's hero was very skeptical about this. Holographic online games, that is something in novels, does it really exist in reality? However, she still put the game access device on her head with a little expectation. Then, she really entered the holographic game world. However, she is the only player in this world. So far, there is only one player. In the game, she can adjust her appearance. Then, when she looked in the mirror after logging off the game, she found that her appearance had actually changed and became more beautiful. At this time, she realized that the game would have an impact on her in reality. Appearance change is one of them. Feng's hero also found that her physical strength has increased. She can use several skills in the game in reality, but the effect is only 1% of that in the game. It is useless to use them. She can't hit people, but only mosquitoes. The storage bag function also came to reality, but the function is the same as above. The 2 cubic storage bags in the game are only as big as 4 adult fists in reality, and can only hold some small things. As for silver and money, they can also be taken to reality. The problem is that if the amount of money in the game is less than a certain amount, you can't take it out in reality. Feng's hero is a poor ghost in the game. The copper coins on her body are not enough to make up 1 or 2 taels of silver. To take the silver and money to reality, at least the amount of silver and money in the game must reach 100 taels of silver. Although she can't take out the money for the time being, Feng's hero is already very happy. This is a golden finger from heaven. It belongs only to her. In the future, as her level in the game gets higher and higher, will her skills also improve when she uses them in real life? Then she will become a master in real life? Of course, this is not what excites her the most. If it were a boy, he would think this is the most important thing. But for a girl like Feng's hero, the game makes her beautiful, allows her to get more money from the game, has money to buy brand name clothes and cosmetics, and allows her to be liked and pursued by the rich second generation. This is the most important thing. Today, she was very lucky to meet 2 silly and sweet young masters in the game. They led her to win all the way, and finally made her money in the game full of 100 taels of silver, so that she could take out 1 tael from the game. Selling this tael of silver ingots can be exchanged for tens of thousands of real currency. It is equivalent to her salary for more than 3 months. Feng's hero changed her clothes and went out with the silver ingots. She was going to sell them for money. After selling the money, she would go shopping and buy beautiful clothes. She is already very beautiful now, and she must be very attractive when she puts on beautiful clothes. 1 ingot of silver was exchanged for more than 20,000 yuan. This amount of money is not small for ordinary people, but it only allows Feng's hero to buy a piece of clothing and a set of cosmetics. She can't afford jewelry or anything like that. Feng's hero is still filial to her parents. Although she dislikes the countryside and has not returned to her hometown for many years, she has money now and has not forgotten her parents. She transferred 5,000 yuan to her father's bank card. This is the first time she has given money to her parents. In fact, her salary was too low before, and it was difficult to support herself every month, and she had no extra money for her parents. Now that she finally has money, it is natural to give some to her parents. Feng's parents were surprised to receive the money and hurriedly called to ask about Feng's hero. They knew the consumption in big cities is high, and their daughter had just graduated not long ago. They were still worried that their daughter would not have enough money. They thought about giving part of the money given to them by their eldest son and eldest daughter to their youngest daughter. Unexpectedly, the youngest daughter also sent money home. Did the youngest daughter win the lottery? Facing her parents' worries, Feng's hero smiled happily. Mom and Dad, don't worry. I found a good job with a high salary. I will give you money every month in the future. Feng's hero's appearance increased by 20% under the adjustment of the holographic game. Her originally ordinary appearance became beautiful and she could be considered a little beauty. At this moment, she smiled like a beautiful rose in the flowers, attracting the attention of many people. One of them took a picture of Feng's hero's smile and posted it on the internet. This person is a freelance photographer, who often posts some photos of plain beauties that he took casually on his Weibo. Many people follow his Weibo, and some people from entertainment companies also follow his Weibo. After seeing plain beauties, they will try to find those beauties, sign them, and bring them into the entertainment industry. There are actually several amateur beauties who entered the entertainment industry because of the photographer's photos, and one of them even became a second-tier star. In addition to her good looks, Feng's hero's temperament has also changed a lot because of her experience in the game, and she seems very different. The entertainment companies immediately took a fancy to Feng's hero and immediately sent out the company's scouts to look for Feng's hero's information. Feng's hero didn't know about the entertainment company's actions yet. She returned home happily and slept happily. The next day, Feng's hero went to the company, and the first thing she did was to hand in her resignation report. Feng's hero had just joined the company not long ago. Her position was not important and there was nothing to hand over. There was no need to wait for a month. The company approved Feng's hero's resignation on the same day. Feng's hero left the company with her pitiful personal belongings, leaving the company's employees with topics to talk about. How did Feng's hero become so beautiful all of a sudden? Did she have plastic surgery? Does she have money for plastic surgery? She got rich, right? She's being kept by someone, right? Feng's hero returned home and immediately logged into the holographic game. The time in the game is consistent with the real time. Now it is only the second day since she and the Su brothers and sisters returned to the city. Feng's hero immediately went to the inn to look for the two big legs of the Su brothers and sisters, but got the news that the two had left early in the morning. Feng's hero. Chapter 670 Game World 5. Su Qingni and Su Qingni left the Sand City and went to the desert. Thanks to this game world, everyone has a storage bag to store water and food, which is enough to support them to move freely in the desert. Looking from afar, there is a desolate yellow in front of them. This color and this vastness give people an indescribable feeling. The desert smoke rises straight, and the long river sets in the round sun. The vast desert is endless, and the lonely city is empty on all sides. The horse walks on the high desert, and the sun falls into the deep sand. Hiding during the day and traveling at night in the desert, the clouds are dark, the moon is dark, and the wind and sand are fierce. Su Qingni walked to Su Qingni's side, recited poems about the desert to his sister, and sighed. Only by seeing the scene in the desert with your own eyes can you understand the meaning of these poems. Su Qingni nodded, and suddenly jumped to the left. Su Qingni cooperated tacitly and chopped the knife in his hand to the position where Su Qingni just stood, and the sand scorpion was chopped in half. Su Qingni lowered her head and disassembled the sand scorpion. She collected the poisonous scorpion tail and the snow-white scorpion meat into the space. Because it was a game world, the size of the sand scorpion was exaggerated, half the size of an adult. Naturally, there was a lot of meat. The meat of the sand scorpion was very delicious. Whether it was roasted, eaten, or made into soup, it was delicious. Su Qingni used the poison on the scorpion tail as medicine. It could be used to make medicine to treat diseases, and it could also be used to make poison. The desert is not short of sand. Along the way, the two siblings have killed a lot of sand scorpions. Although as NPCs in the game world, they cannot express their experience values and data like Feng's hero, but in fact, they also have certain experience rewards for killing monsters. These experiences can increase their level and strength. The two siblings were in the desert for 7 days and 7 nights, and they killed monsters during the day while rushing on the road to gain experience and upgrade. From the sand scorpion at the beginning to the snakes, lizards, wolves and other monsters later, the combat experience was improved little by little, and the monsters also contributed a lot of good things to the two. At night, the two set up a tent to rest. As expected of a tent produced in the game world, the safety is simply awesome. Not only can it block the wind and rain, but it can also isolate the external temperature and block all monster attacks. The temperature inside the tent has been maintained at around 25 degrees, and as long as people rest in the tent, even if the monsters that are 10 or even 100 levels higher than them attack, they cannot break the defense of the tent and hurt the people inside. However, this kind of tent is very expensive, which means that Su Qingni and Su Qingni are both rich local tyrants who can afford this kind of tent. If it were Feng's hero, I'd better log off every night. Sleeping well and eating well, the two siblings' life in the desert is like a vacation, so comfortable that it can't be reached until a piece of news reaches their ears. That day, the two were still fighting a group of two-headed rattlesnakes, and a group of people walked past them. Not long after, another group of people hurriedly passed by them. After a while, another group of people. The two siblings were surprised. Where did these people go? What happened? Curious, Su Qingni and Su Qingni immediately accelerated to kill the rattlesnakes. When another group of people passed by, they quickly caught up with that group and pricked up their ears to listen to the conversation of the people in front. From the conversation of these people, Su Qingni and Su Qingni finally knew what happened. It turned out that a special secret realm was found in the desert. Secret realm is what people in this world say. If Feng's hero says it, it is a copy. There are many secret realms, copies, in this world, and there are many monsters and many good things in them. Young people like to go to the copy together, hone their martial arts, improve their experience, and get good things in the copy to make money. Among these secret realms, copies, there is a most special existence, which is called the special secret realm. Other secret realms, copies, exist all the time, while special secret realms are one time. Special secret realms are secret realms formed by the world extracting a certain section of the world timeline. They do not exist for a long time. As long as someone passes through the special secret realm, the secret realm will disappear. Everyone hurried to the special secret realm, just to be the first person to pass through the special secret realm. You know, there are many more good things in the special secret realm than in the ordinary secret realm, copy. When Su Qingni heard about the special secret realm, his eyes lit up. The light was brighter than the light of a 50-watt incandescent lamp. Second sister, let's work hard and strive to be the first to pass the level successfully. Su Qingni clenched his fist and said. Su Qingni raised her right hand and touched her nose, saying, it's hard for the two of us to be the first to pass the level. Although her strength is already the best in this world, Su Qingni will not expose her strength unless her life is threatened. The strength she has exposed now is only a little bit better than Su Qingni's wall. Although Su Qingni is now a first-class master in the world, there are many masters in this world. Even among young people, there are many who are stronger than Su Qingni. It is difficult to be the first to pass the level. Su Qingni said, when the elder brother and sister hear the news, they will definitely come. By then, we will not be just two people. Because there is a teleportation array in this world, it is very convenient to travel between the main cities, and the speed of information transmission is also very fast. Once the news of the special secret realm spread, no matter where in this world, as long as you have strength and money, you will soon be able to reach the special secret realm. Su Qingni and Su Qingni came to the outside of the special secret realm and found that many people had gathered here. It can be described as a sea of people, and more people are rushing here continuously. Su Qingni and Su Qingni found a relatively sparsely populated place and stood for a while, and then they received pigeon messages from Su Qingni and Su Qingni, as well as pigeon messages from other friends in the village. Sure enough, they heard the news of the special secret realm and rushed over immediately. Su Qingni and Su Qingni replied to their pigeon messages, and with a pigeon positioning, the four brothers and sisters and their friends gathered together in a short while. After not seeing each other for a while, the strength of the brothers and sisters and their friends has increased, but Su Qingni and Su Qingni have increased the fastest. With Su Qingni's invisible plugin, Su Qingni has too many opportunities to practice with monsters, and his experience gain is twice that of his friends. After a brief chat, Su Qingni and Su Qingni formed a team with their friends. They began to check the items in their backpacks, their equipment and weapons, and prepare for the challenge. The merchants were very perceptive. As soon as the news of the special secret realm came out, the merchants came running over. Chapter 671 Game World VI. Merchants are very sharp. As soon as the news of the special secret realm came out, merchants ran to the secret realm like ants smelling honey. A trade zone has been separated outside the secret realm. Various shops have opened, such as those selling groceries, ironwork, sewing, and jewelry. Don't be surprised why they open so quickly. With backpacks, the transportation of materials and goods is not a problem at all. A group of friends went to the ironwork shop to repair their weapons, went to the tailor shop to mend their equipment, and went to the grocery store to buy some things that might be used. Qingni. Someone called Su Qingni and Su Qingni behind their backs, calling the two people's names very intimately, as if they had a very good relationship. Su Qingni frowned unhappily. This kind of intimate way of calling would make him dissatisfied, except for the people in the village. Little sister, little brother, someone called you, is it your friend? Su Qingni asked the two. Su Qingni had already turned around and saw who was calling them. He said unhappily, "We've only met once, so we're not very familiar." "If we weren't familiar, why did she call you so intimately?" Su Qingni didn't believe his brother's answer. The woman who waved her hands vigorously looked very happy, as if she had seen a close friend who had been reunited after a long time, not like she had just met once. Su Qingni snorted, "This woman is just very familiar." He saw that his brothers and sisters and friends looked unconvinced, and immediately reminded them, "This woman is a little weird, you'd better stay away from her. Even if you come into contact with her, you must be vigilant and on guard." "Not that exaggerated, right? She looks like an ordinary woman," Su Qingni said. She looked at the clothes on Feng's hero that didn't have much protective properties, and then looked at her equipment, and came to a conclusion that she was a poor person, and a poor person with low strength. What was there to be on guard against? "Big sister, this woman is really strange. If you don't believe me, ask my second sister." Su Qingni knew that he was young and his words were insignificant, so it was normal for his brothers and sisters and friends not to believe him, but not many people would question his second sister's words. Although his second sister was only 1 year older than him and younger than his brothers and sisters, he was steady and very smart since he was a child. He always saw things and spoke to the point. Even parents and elders would listen to his second sister's opinions, not to mention people of the same generation. Su Qingni nodded and testified for her brother, "This woman is indeed unusual." After hearing Su Qingni's words, Su Qingni and others became wary of Feng's hero. Su Qingni quickly and quietly told his friends that he and Su Qingni had seen Feng's hero turn into white light and disappear, which made his friends suspicious and more wary of Feng's hero. Feng's hero finally squeezed to the side of Su Qingni and others, and said happily, Qingni, it's great to see you. Why didn't you wait for me at the inn? Why did you leave first?" The last sentence couldn't help but be accusatory. In her mind, NPCs are players' services. These two NPCs should be around her, how could they abandon her? Su Qingni said lightly, "But we just met by chance, why should we wait for you? We are not yours. How can you talk like that?" Feng's hero was upset by Su Qingni's retort. Not only did this person abandon her at the beginning, but he still talked to her like this now, which was too much. What kind of NPC is this? The planner should format this NPC and restart it. It's a pity that she is just a player who entered the game through an abnormal channel and doesn't know how to complain. Otherwise, she must complain about this NPC named Su Qingni. Humph, a little brat. He looks good, but it's a pity that he is too young and his hair hasn't grown yet. He is not her type. Feng's hero's eyes swam around Su Qingni and his friends. When she saw the other two boys and Su Qingni and his friends, her eyes lit up. These three people are so handsome, and each has their own characteristics. They are all her favorites. Her eyes revealed her thoughts, and Su Qingni and others all saw it. They all frowned and had a bad impression of Feng's hero. Even if Su Qingni and Su Qingni hadn't reminded them, these people would not get close to Feng's hero. Su Qingni said, "I'm sorry, Feng's hero, my brother is young and speaks bluntly, don't mind it. It doesn't matter." Feng's hero took a deep breath to show that she didn't care. She suppressed her anger. Now she still wanted to rely on Su Qingni's thighs to help her upgrade. "It's great to meet you here. This is fate." Feng's hero made an exaggerated expression, which made Su Qingni and others sneer in their hearts. The special secret realm was discovered, and anyone who got the news would come. It was inevitable for Feng's hero to meet them, so how could it have anything to do with fate? "Well, you guys are going to explore the secret realm too, right? Can you take me with you?" Feng's hero stated her purpose, her eyes flickering as she looked at everyone with a very eager expression. She learned this expression from the innocent heroine in the TV series. The men in the TV series couldn't refuse this expression. In reality, she also tried to show this expression after improving her appearance, and sure enough, the man who faced her didn't refuse her request. She was therefore very confident in this expression. However, reality slapped her in the face. There are so many beauties in this world, and there are many women who can make this expression, and each of them is more beautiful than Feng's hero who has improved her appearance. Su Qingni and the others have seen more beautiful ones, so why would they be confused by Feng's hero's expression? Su Qingni, sorry, our team is full, and we can't add one more. The upper limit of the number of people in this special secret realm is 9, And there are exactly 9 people including the Su family siblings and friends. They can't replace one of their partners just because of an outsider who makes them feel bad. Feng's hero. Damn, what's wrong with these NPCs? They don't even accept me. How abominable. Just wait, she will teach these NPCs a lesson when she reaches a higher level. Can NPCs be killed in this game? Humph. Then I will kill these NPCs who look down on me one by one. NPCs only have one life, and they will be completely gone when they die. I can be resurrected unlimitedly. I will fight these NPCs for my life, and see who can beat me. Because of the huge golden finger, Feng's hero has become inflated, and now she thinks she is the protagonist of the world. Maybe she really is. Of course, if Su Qingni doesn't come to this world, a kind of those who follow me will prosper, and those who go against me will perish mentality arises in her heart. Chapter 672 Game World 7. Feng's hero was already inflated, and she had a feeling of those who obey me will prosper, and those who disobey me will perish in her heart. Su Qingni's refusal made Feng's hero very dissatisfied, and she had a murderous intention towards them, and her face was distorted. Su Qingni and others were fighting in and out of the monster group, and they were very sensitive to murderous aura. Everyone felt Feng's hero's murderous aura. Everyone looked at each other and became even more displeased with a woman in front of them. We are in a hurry to enter the secret realm. This girl, goodbye. Su Qingni bowed his hand, took his friends and left Feng's hero. Damn it. Feng's hero was extremely angry. There was a cactus as tall as a person next to her, and Feng's hero didn't see it clearly. She just wanted to vent her anger and punch the cactus. Then, Feng's hero screamed, holding her right hand and crying in pain. The back of her right hand was pierced by the thorns of the cactus, leaving several bloody holes. With tears in her eyes, Feng's hero took out a bottle of golden medicine and applied it on the wound. Seeing the wound heal instantly, she felt very uncomfortable. Damn it. Even a cactus bullies me. Feng's hero cursed angrily. Damn NPC, just wait for me. When my level is raised, I will make you suffer. Humph, you are stronger than me now, so what? I am a player. I can gain experience and increase my level by killing monsters. I am not like you who have to practice hard. I become stronger much faster than you. When I become the strongest existence in this game, I will definitely kill all of you. Humph, you NPCs only have one life. Feng's hero cursed very softly, but people nearby still heard her. However, most of the people around her were focused on the special secret realm and did not pay attention to the content of Feng's hero's words. Only a small group of people heard the content of Feng's hero's words and took it seriously. The group looked at each other, and their eyes were all focused on a young man. The young man was about 25 or 26 years old. He was very handsome, dressed in white, with black hair like fine black jade. He was noble and made people feel ashamed at first sight. A light flashed in the man's beautiful eyes, and he said, Tongayu, there is still a vacancy in our team. Go and invite that woman to come. A beautiful woman in a red dress responded and walked towards Feng's hero. Feng's hero was still cursing, and suddenly heard a woman's voice behind her. This girl, are you single? Do you want to join our team? We are just short of people. Feng's hero stopped cursing immediately and turned around quickly. Someone invited her to join the team. Hurry up and seize this opportunity. Seeing the face of the person who invited her, Feng's hero was jealous. Why are the NPCs in the game so beautiful? Even if she has adjusted her appearance, she still can't compare to these female NPCs. It makes her so angry. Exhale, inhale. Exhale, inhale. Even if the person in front of her is prettier than her and makes her jealous, she can't show it. It was not easy to find a team that actively invited me to join. I must not offend the person in front of me because of a little jealousy and miss the opportunity. Feng's hero showed a smile that she thought was very kind and said, okay. But she didn't know that all the changes in her expression were seen by the woman Tongayu. The woman Tongayu didn't say anything, just took Feng's hero to her companions. Feng's hero was immediately attracted by the man in white, and her saliva was about to flow out. This man is so handsome, and his temperament is so noble, which is countless times stronger than those domineering CEOs and noble sons in TV dramas. This is the real noble son. Those in TV dramas can't be compared with a person in front of me. This person in front of me is my dish. If only I could have a beautiful love with him. Even if he is an NPC, it doesn't matter. Anyway, it doesn't affect her finding a partner in reality. have a lover in the game, and find a long-term meal ticket in reality, and it doesn't affect each other. How great. Feng's hero made up her mind that she must seduce the NPC in front of her. Her eyes betrayed her heart. Feng's hero looked down on the NPCs in the game deep in her heart, thinking that NPCs were all intelligent programs created by humans, so how could they be compared with humans? However, she didn't know that this world was completely different from the holographic online game world she thought of. The so-called NPCs in this world all had souls, and they lived in this world. This world is real, and they are also real. They are not rigid intelligent programs, they are intelligent lives that transcend programs, and their wisdom is higher than Feng's hero. In their eyes, Feng's hero is mentally retarded. The others looked at the man in white with sympathy, and their faces were filled with expressions of watching a good show. The man in white glanced at his companions, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Such a stupid woman is easier to control, isn't it? Hello, my name is Huangfu Jingxian. The man in white smiled at Feng's hero, as if spring had returned to the earth and all the flowers were blooming, which made Feng's hero intoxicated. Her heart began to beat violently, her face flushed, and she stammered, "Hello, my name is Feng, Feng's hero." Feng's hero? The name is as soft as snow and as gentle as a flower. What a good name. Huangfu Jingxian said, his eyes were deep, as if they contained lingering affection, which made Feng's hero's heart beat faster, and she was shy and happy. Thank you for the compliment. Feng's hero replied, your name is also very good, it sounds noble and extraordinary. In modern romance novels, surnames like Huangfu, Duanmu, and Murin are either royal surnames or noble surnames. The man in front of him has an extraordinary demeanor and his surname is Huangfu. Could he be a member of the royal family in this game world? When I have time, I must find out what the surname of the emperor in the game world is, and what the surnames of the heads of those major sects are. Collect more, hug more thighs, and make your game journey smoother. Miss Feng, our team is short of a teammate, are you willing to join us? Huangfu Jingxian asked Feng's hero in a pleasant voice with a hint of charm. Feng's hero nodded repeatedly. How could she not agree? Someone took her through the dungeon to gain experience, and she could also see such a pleasing handsome guy at any time. Only a fool would not agree. Feng's hero thought she was not a fool. Huangfu Jingxian smiled again, then let's enter the secret realm together. Su Qingni sat at the desk, looking at the white paper on the table and the words on the paper with a sharp gaze. Is she going to the secret realm with her friends? How did she appear in a classroom? Fortunately, her friends were all around, in the same situation as her, sitting next to the desk, and each of them had a piece of white paper with a question written on it on the left. Chapter 673 Game World 8. Su Qingni saw that her friends were full of confusion. Yes, the friends grew up in the village, and they learned to study and martial arts from their elders. They had never been to school, so they didn't know what it was like inside a school, let alone the layout of a modern classroom. They had never taken an exam, and they didn't know that they were facing an exam scene. Su Qingni reminded her friends, this should be one of the tests in the secret realm. Let us answer the questions on the white paper. The friends then understood the current situation and looked down at the test paper on the table. There were several big questions written on the test paper, and the content was familiar to everyone. It was about the history of this world. Although everyone grew up in the village, they still knew the history of this world. This test was simply a care for the newcomers. Su Qingni and her friends all answered the questions and successfully passed the first level. Of course, there were also people who couldn't answer the questions, and that was Feng's hero. She was an outsider, how could she understand the history of this world? Moreover, she treated people and things in this world with the mentality of a player, only thinking about getting benefits from the game world, and had no intention to understand the background of the game world. How could she answer the questions? Feng's hero got an egg in this level. Fortunately, her other teammates all answered the questions, and they were a whole. The secret realm stipulated that as long as the answers of all people in a team were added together to answer the questions correctly, the team would be considered to have passed the level. Feng's hero was happy in her heart. This was the rhythm of being carried away again. You know, after passing the level, she gained a lot of experience points, and everyone received clearance rewards, including materials and equipment. Feng's hero got a coat with very good attribute values, and she immediately put it on. Walking out of the classroom, there was a garden outside. There were many beautiful flowers planted in the garden, and the flowers were all in full bloom, and the colorful flowers were competing for beauty. There was a path in the center of the garden that only allowed 2 people to pass side by side, extending to another building. The path was not very long, only about 100 meters. Feng's hero's eyes lit up when she saw so many beautiful words. So beautiful. And there are many precious varieties among them. Because she likes beautiful things, Feng's hero has some research on flowers and plants, especially those precious plants that can be sold at a high price. Feng's hero has some knowledge of them. She took a quick look and found that almost all the flowers in the garden were precious varieties. That is the sleeping fire lotus. That is the Ata Wang Wei Zi among the peonies. That is the 18 scholars among the camellias. That is the phoenix fluttering wings among the chrysanthemums. That is the Sugwen lotus sting among the orchids. Oh my god, there are even ghost orchids. This is the most precious orchid recognized internationally. If I can bring these flowers to reality, I will be rich. This is more profitable than selling gold and silver. Feng's hero's eyes were full of symbols of small money. She took 2 steps and wanted to reach out to the pot of hexagonal red camellia closest to her. A big hand held her arm and stopped her from moving. Feng's hero raised her head unhappily and looked angrily at the person who stopped her. But when she saw that the person was Huangfu Jingxin, her anger disappeared. The handsome guy must have had a deep meaning in stopping her. Be careful, there's something strange about these flowers. Huangfu Jingxin said. Before their goal is achieved, this stupid woman must not get into trouble. Sure enough, the handsome guy stopped her for her own good. Feng's hero was happy, but she was still confused. She asked, "What's wrong with these flowers?" Huangfu Jingxin said, "The flowers in this garden have their own flowering periods, and they should bloom at different times. Now they are blooming at the same time, which is very wrong." Feng's hero wanted to say that this was a game, and it was no big deal for flowers that bloomed at different flowering periods to bloom together. But seeing Huangfu Jingxin's serious expression, she nodded in agreement. Huangfu Jingxin continued, "The most important point is, the flowers here are so bright and beautiful, but there are no butterflies and bees." Yes, the flowers are so beautiful, but there are no butterflies and bees flying around to collect nectar. It is indeed strange. Looking closely, this garden is too quiet and lacks vitality. Feng's hero was so scared that she took a step back and hid behind Huangfu Jingxin. "Don't be afraid, I will protect you," Huangfu Jingxin said to Feng's hero gently. Feng's hero blushed slightly, feeling happy and proud, with a hint of sweetness in her heart. "I believe you." An ambiguous atmosphere permeated between the 2 of them. Others in the team looked up at the sky, counted the ants on the ground, and admired the flowers in the garden, not disturbing Feng's hero and Huangfu Jingxin from exchanging feelings. After a while, Huangfu Jingxin retracted his gaze from Feng's hero and issued an order. "Tonggayu, you and Lao San will lead, Shitao and Shu Yang will be the last. Zero, you follow me." Everyone lined up according to Huangfu Jingxin's order and walked onto the path in the garden. As soon as they walked up, the originally quiet and admirable flowers all changed, and began to attack everyone frantically. Vines crawled from the bottom of the feet, binding everyone's feet, flew from the top of the head, whipping everyone. Beautiful petals turned into hidden weapons, shooting from all directions, including thorns from thorny plants. Everyone drew out their weapons to resist all these attacks, but the attacks were too dense, and everyone inevitably missed some places, so that several people were injured. Fortunately, the red medicine in this world is very powerful. Everyone held a red medicine in their mouths, fighting against the plants in the garden while being injured and running towards the building on the other side of the trail. Feng's hero was the only one in the team who was not injured. Huangfu Jingxin protected her very well and did not hurt her at all. Feng's hero saw Huangfu Jingxin drinking red medicine to heal his wounds, and then looked at herself who was unharmed, and her heart was deeply moved. Although the person in front of her was just an NPC, she just had the idea of bubble handsome guy, but at this time she couldn't help but be sincere. After everyone finished healing and restored their condition to the best, Huangfu Jingxin pushed open the door of the building and let everyone into the building. What caught my eye was a row of embroidery frames, with needlework baskets next to them and stools in front for people to sit on. There were just the right number of embroidery frames for the team. At the front of the room hung an extremely delicate embroidery with a picture of birds paying homage to the phoenix. The birds and phoenix in the picture were so lifelike that they seemed to be able to fly out of the embroidery at the next moment. So beautiful. Someone couldn't help but praise. Chapter 674 Game World 9. Will this second level be a test of our embroidery skills? Su Qingni couldn't help but frown. It's very likely. Su Qingni said, it should be that we are asked to embroider the picture of 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix on a blank embroidery frame. Only if we embroider well can we pass the level. The friends looked at each other, all laughed, and then looked at Su Qingni, and the other girls, as well as a tall young man. The girls had all learned women's work from the former leader of the demon cult, and the tall young man was the direct disciple of the leader of the demon cult. The young man scratched his head, smiled at everyone, walked to an embroidery frame first, took out the needle and thread from the basket, and started to work. Su Qingni and the other girls also smiled, walked to the embroidery frame, and started to work as well. They were all very fast, and it took them less than half a day to finish the embroidery. The finished products embroidered by each person were very beautiful, not much different from the demonstration of the 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix. In fact, the finished products embroidered by the tall young man were better than the demonstration of the 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix. They naturally passed the second level successfully and received very good prizes for passing the level. Feng's hero and Huangfu Jingxin and his group also passed the second level, but they just barely passed. There was only one girl in the team who knew how to do needlework, and the finished products she embroidered were just barely acceptable, just reaching the passing line. Feng's hero didn't gain much experience in this level, and the prizes she got were also very tasteless. But she didn't dare to be dissatisfied. She was originally led through the level, and she didn't have the confidence to complain. You know, she didn't even know how to hold a needle, let alone embroidery. The area between the buildings of the second and third levels is no longer a garden, but a desert full of yellow sand. For the people who just crossed the desert, it was not too easy to pass. The third level tests calligraphy and painting, not only good painting, but also good calligraphy. This level was very easy for both Su Qingni's team and Huangfu Jingxin's team. Everyone in Huangfu Jingxin's team came from a prominent family and was good at both civil and military affairs. Writing and drawing were part of their daily homework. Feng's hero, who could write calligraphy like a dog crawling and could only draw stick figures, huddled aside and was carried away by her teammates. The fourth level tested music. In this level, everyone could use musical instruments to play a beautiful piece of music or sing. As long as it sounded good, they would pass. Feng's hero said she would do this level. Feng's hero spoke righteously. She was also a member of the team, so naturally she had to contribute to the team. In fact, Feng's hero had a good voice and she loved singing. The songs she sang were nice to listen to. When she was in school, she participated in a singing competition held by the school and won a prize. Everyone looked at Huangfu Jingxin. Huangfu Jingxin looked at Feng's hero's confident expression and nodded in agreement. Feng's hero took 2 steps forward, opened her mouth, and began to sing, "Spring comes early, and the sweet dream is disturbed. Let's gather on the pavilion and recite the present day. Why not go to the Qingxin Valley with plain clothes? Leaning on a stick, I knock on the wooden door gently. I meet an old friend with white hair and yellow mouth. Let's drink 3 or 2 cups of wine together in the east fence. Why not be frivolous? I ask you change if she is well with wine. A song of golden thread makes the world envious." Feng's hero sang Golden Threaded Clothes by Dongzhen, which is an ancient style song she likes very much. Hearing the lyrics, Huangfu Jingxin's eyes flashed. I thought Feng's hero was a fool, but I didn't expect that she had some connotation. This level was naturally passed. Feng's hero won more experience points in this level than the previous 3 levels, and also a top quality equipment, which made Feng's hero very happy. I am actually very good. The next level tests chess skills. A Zhenlong chess game is placed in the center of the room. Feng's hero didn't know how to play Go, but the Zhenlong chess game reminded her of this Zhenlong chess game in Xianlong Babu. This level was challenged by Huangfu Jingxin. Just as Huangfu Jingxin was about to step forward, Feng's hero stopped Huangfu Jingxin and told him how Su Xing set up this Zhenlong chess game and Suzu accidentally cracked this Zhenlong chess game in Xianlong Babu. Huangfu Jingxin raised his eyebrows. Another good point, it was not so painful for him to deal with this woman. At the same level, Su Qingni stopped Su Qingni who was challenging him. Su Qingni didn't tell Su Qingni the plot of Xianlong Babu, but only gave Su Qingni one sentence: put yourself in a desperate situation and then survive. Su Qingni thought about it and suddenly realized it, and smiled confidently at Su Qingni. At this level, Su Qingni and Huangfu Jingxin passed it easily. Next, the two teams received several more tests from various fields and aspects. The other people who entered the secret realm had the same test as them, but those people were not as talented as the two teams, and there were no external personnel who could give hints to teammates. Many teams failed at a certain level. In the end, only Su Qingni's team and Feng Zhirou's team made it to the last level. At the last level, the two teams returned to the original classroom, and the test papers were still placed in front of everyone. Having answered questions once before, everyone was not as surprised as the first time, but looked down at the questions on the papers. In a box of chess pieces, the number of 3 pieces is 2 more, the number of 5 pieces is 4 more, the number of 7 pieces is 6 more. If the number of chess pieces in this box is between 200 and 300, how many chess pieces are there in this box? This level tests numerology. Shui Yang said, the question doesn't look difficult. The 6 arts of a gentleman, etiquette, music, archery, charioteering, calligraphy, and mathematics. Those of them who came from prominent families all had some knowledge. Shui Yang had learned numbers very well, and she was very confident that she could calculate the test questions in front of her. Feng Zhirou couldn't help but twitch her mouth when she looked at the test questions. This question in front of her looked so familiar. Wasn't this the question she had done when she participated in the elementary school math competition when she was in elementary school? What was the process of answering the question? It had been nearly 10 years, and she couldn't remember it clearly. Although she couldn't remember it clearly, the basics were still there. At least Feng Zhirou had studied advanced mathematics, although most of them were returned to the teacher. But Feng Zhirou could still solve this kind of elementary school math problem. In the end, including Feng Zhirou and Shui Yang, most of the people in their team wrote down the answers, and only 2 people got it wrong. They thought they had passed this last level, but in the end, the white paper with the answers disappeared, and another white paper with the test questions appeared on everyone's desk, and there was still a question on it. 2 people perform qingguang and walk towards each other in a straight line from 2 places 20 miles apart. At the moment they start, a fly starts to fly from one person to the other. As soon as it reaches the other person, it immediately turns around and flies back. The fly flies back and forth between the 2 people in this way until they meet. If the 2 people are moving at a speed of 10 miles per hour, and the fly flies at a speed of 15 miles per hour, then how many miles has the fly flown in total? Chapter 675 Game World 10. 2 people performed qingguang from 2 places 20 miles apart. So, how many miles did the fly fly in total? Seeing this question, Feng Zhirou's mouth continued to twitch, while Su Qingni had no expression. After the elementary school Olympiad question, is this the junior high school Olympiad question? Will the next question be the high school Olympiad question after they answer this question? This question is much more difficult than the previous one. Only a few people from the 2 teams answered it. In Feng Zhirou's team, only she and Shui Yang answered the correct answer. Because of this trick, Huangfu Jingxin and his teammates looked down on Feng Zhirou a lot less. The next question was indeed a high school Olympiad question. This time Feng Zhirou didn't answer it. Are you kidding? When she was in high school, she didn't even make it to the preliminary round of the mathematical Olympiad. How could she answer this question? So, their team failed at the last checkpoint and was teleported out of the special secret realm. The group looked at each other in the secret realm, communicating their thoughts with their eyes. Enter the secret realm again? You can do it again. But are you sure you can answer the question of the last level? Oh, everyone was silent. Feng Zhirou was very optimistic. She wrote down all the questions, and she could go offline and look for the answers online. If she couldn't find the answers, she could also ask for help from the big guys online. Feng Zhirou didn't think that people in this world could answer high school math Olympiad questions. This level was obviously set up for players. How could the native NPC know about the Olympic mathematics competition? Their knowledge of mathematics is still limited to ancient books such as Zhou Bi Xuanjing, Jiu Zhang Xuanchu, Heidao Xuanjing, Wu Keo Xuanjing, and Sun Zi Xuanjing, right? Feng Zhirou said, don't be disappointed. I have a way to solve the questions of the last level. Immediately, everyone in the team focused their attention on Feng Zhirou. Feng Zhirou became the focus of everyone, and she was proud in her heart, saying, the questions of the last level look familiar to me. I have seen them before. Then why can't you solve them? Si Tuangai asked in a bad tone. Huang Fujingxian heard her tone and glared at Si Tuangayu with a warning. Si Tuangayu lowered his head sadly, feeling a little wronged. Feng's hero saw this and thought that Huang Fujingxian was standing up for her. She was happy in her heart and her tone was inevitably proud. Well, I only saw it once, and I haven't solved this problem, and I don't know how to solve it. But I know someone knows how to solve it. You wait here for me, I will go find the person who can solve the problem, ask about the process and answer, and then we will enter the secret realm. I'll go with you. Huang Fujingxian said. No, no. Feng's hero waved her hands hurriedly. She was offline to check the information, so she couldn't let the handsome guy follow her and find out that she was different from others. By the way, does this game have a player offline protection mechanism that allows NPCs to ignore the situation where players are offline? Feng's hero didn't dare to bet whether the game has such a mechanism. After she rejected Huang Fujingxian, she immediately turned around and ran away. Huang Fujingxian glanced at a man with a very weak presence among his teammates. The man named Yu immediately chased Feng's hero's figure and left. After a while, Yu returned to his teammates and said, I followed Feng's hero to a deserted place and saw Feng's hero disappear in a white light. Sure enough, this woman is different from us. Shui Yang said in surprise. Si Tuangayu said, the incomplete ancient book in my home records that the alien came from the sky and disappeared in a white light, just like Feng's hero's situation. Huang Fujingxian nodded and said, the records I found in the ancient books at home are the same. The ancient books also record that the world where the aliens live is the real world, and the world we are in now is not real. The ancestors of my family left a message, if there is a chance, I hope to take the whole family back to the real world. Si Tuangayu, my ancestors also left this sentence. The other teammates all nodded, and their ancestors also left something behind. It is precisely because of the few words left by the ancestors that they have doubts about the world they live in now. They want to break through this world and go to the real world. They yearn for the real world. However, over the years, they have traveled to almost every corner of the world and have not found any clues to go to the real world. They were all a little desperate, but they didn't expect to meet Feng's hero. This woman who is incompatible with them gave them hope of breaking through this world and going to the real world. Huang Fujingxian said, we must treat Feng's hero well, let her willingly tell us the information of the real world, so that we can get more confidence to go to the real world. His warning eyes fell on Si Tuangayu. The most important thing now is to coax this woman, not to offend her. I know. Si Tuangayu said sullenly. She likes Huang Fujingxian and can't bear to see Huang Fujingxian treat other women well. But for the sake of the overall situation, she had to endure it. Feng's hero didn't know that her identity had been seen through by another group of people. After downloading the game, she quickly turned on the computer and searched the internet for the answer to the last level question. Fortunately, there is a detailed solution process and answer to this question on the internet. Feng's hero immediately printed it out. In order to avoid encountering different questions in the last level after passing the level again, Feng's hero simply downloaded and printed out all the high school math Olympiad questions that could be searched on the internet, and even printed some of the questions of the International Mathematical Olympiad. Put these printed materials into the storage bag, and after entering the game, she can take them out in the game world. Feng's hero made full preparations and entered the game happily. As a result, she had just returned to Huang Fujingxian and others, and had just taken out the materials in the storage bag to show Huang Fujingxian, when she heard the system prompt. Someone actually succeeded in breaking through the level. The special secret realm is about to close. Feng's hero was dumbfounded. Who is so awesome? Can he answer such a difficult Olympiad math problem? Could it be that there are other players in this world besides herself? Even if there are other players, the speed will not be so fast, right? You know, it takes time to check the information offline. Who can be as fast as me? Feng's hero's face was not good. Compared with other players in this world, she would rather believe that there is an NPC with extremely high mathematical talent in this world, and it was the NPC who answered all the questions in the last level. She is the protagonist of the world and the darling of God. There can only be one player in the game world, and there must be no other players. Feng's hero's eyes quickly flashed with murderous intent. If there really is another player, then don't blame her for being ruthless. There is only one protagonist in this world, and it can't be anyone else. It can only be her, Feng's hero. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like, Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.